yeah. Hey, way too fast. I gotta go, I'm in the zone, foot on the gas. Yeah. GPS, I got goals, I know where to go, so I never crash. Hey, Yeah, I'm in the end zone. Where did he go? You way too slow, homie, I been gone. I know you see, I got the wings, homie, I been flown. Me and the team going for rings, that is the end goal. Hey, I go beast mode, all around the world like Eco. I go crazy like CeeLo, can't stop me like Chico's. I'm suave like Rico, can't be mine no repo. This my home like Depot, can't deny like Vito. Hey, way too fast. I gotta go, I'm in the zone, foot on the gas. Yeah. GPS, I got goals, I know where to go, so I never crash. Hey, way too fast. I gotta go, I'm in the zone, foot on the gas. Yeah. Hey, GPS, I got goals, I know where to go, so I'll never crash.
The third race of the grueling tour for 4 Wide's best takes the field back to the West Coast and the blistering heat of the Arizona desert. Where tonight, live from the virtual Phoenix Raceway, we welcome you to race number 3 of the Season 6 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series with our coverage right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Under the sun in Avondale, we're so excited to bring you back to 4 Wide action where, alongside Francisco Bacalhau in the broadcast booth, I'm Kenneth Bueno. There's a tale of two tapes, Francisco, no doubt. When you look at the first 2 races of the season, you have veteran Lawson Peel, who picked up right where you left off this year and took the win at Auto Club to kick off Season 6. And then rookie driver Luke Knupp rocked the stage at Nashville Superspeedway last week. What does the 2 races say to you about the season so far as we head to Phoenix for the very first time?
Happy to be here in Cactus Land, Kenneth, and you said it right there. 2 different results in each of the 2 races so far. We had Lawson Peel take the win at Auto Club, and then Luke Knupp for BBR taking the win last week for his first career 4 Wide Racing Series win. So it's going to be very interesting going into Phoenix, considering that this track definitely plays its hand towards the veterans of the series with the way the track is, the hot track temperatures we're going to be having today. It's going to be very challenging out here. But looking back at the race over at Nashville Superspeedway, Kenneth, it was not exactly an easy one for Luke Knupp. He started deep in the field back in the mid-20s, but he drove his way up through the front, was able to make some passes, and once he was up in the top 10, he kind of stayed there for the second half of the race, and once he got into clean air, he did not give that up, and he held off several charges from Lawson Peel. Lawson did not make that easy on him, but Luke was able to hold on strong, and he was able to take away a race win, and we'll see what that does for his confidence and momentum going into Phoenix.
It wasn't without its drama, though, in Nashville Superspeedway last week. Let's take a look in the rearview mirror, and this is how it all started. Jaden Porter with his second straight pole in the Music City led the field to green, but chaos would immediately happen at around lap 11. Jason Hastings getting turned on the front straightaway in Francisco. There was a lot of crashing in this race over time. We had some green flag runs, but this big crash, Adam Alishire taking a bunch of drivers out.
A big hit there, and that took him out of the race, which wasn't going to do him any good in points. There was this battle with the 45 of Knupp and the 3 of Eric Schaefer towards the front portion of the field, and there you see another crash involving the 8 of Mikey Neal, and several cars down the back straightaway invoking a big one. This would end up being one of the later cautions in the race, and there you see Lawson Peel making the move that would give him the race lead for the first time in that race. Luke Knupp would follow him through. And then we'd have just one more incident right here as these two are battling for the lead. A wreck ensues in the further portion of the field. This would result in the last caution of the race. But these two battled away for the lead. Luke was not going to give it up. He holds off the 12. The 12 was persistent right to the very end. But Luke Knupp able to take his first series win and celebrated it in happy fashion. It was excited about it. And of course, he's ready to try and see if he can make it 2 in a row. The driver in his home racetrack, Kenneth, is hoping to see if he can replicate what many have not been able to do, and that's win at their home racetrack.
He'll look to be the first driver to win 2 in a row since Lawson Peel did it last season. And with his first career win at Nashville Superspeedway, he becomes the first driver since Colin Forrester back in Season 3 to win in his debut. What happened to Colin Forrester in his rookie season? Went nearly all the way to the championship. 5 had a shot at the championship with his Stonks Motorsports teammate and AJ Green, who won the title. So Luke Knupp, great beginnings in Francisco. There were so many questions about what Luke Knupp could do because he had missed that race at Auto Club Speedway to kick off the season. Nobody really knew what his performance would look like stacked up against the competition. Turns out he was just fine and beat one of the best in the sim and one of the best in this series in order to capture that win at Nashville. And I'm sure there's a lot of hype around KBueno Racing, especially with you and I. We have a really good history with our team there for certain reasons. You started that trend, Jaden Porter right after, and now Luke Knupp with his first career 4-wide racing win. He's going to be on a lot of momentum heading into tonight's race, which is his hometown one, like you said, Francisco. And with that, we will bring in the driver of the number 45 and welcome Luke Knupp to the broadcast booth. And I'm sure that the excitement was at an all-time high when you picked up that first win at Nashville Superspeedway, but you come in to your home racetrack with a chance of going 2 in a row. First of all, walk us through the emotions of that first win and what your expectations are for tonight.
Last week was pretty awesome to start 23rd and then come out and win, especially holding off the all-time win leader in the league, Lawson. He kept me honest, that's for sure, but I told the guys in the BBR chat that once I got to the lead, I thought I could run away with it, and sure did. We had that long green flag run to the end, and it was awesome. And then coming into my home race, and repping the Phoenix Suns colors, really just hoping to have a good night. Just qualified on pole, so that's going to be huge. Have a #1 pit stall, and hopefully we don't have a wreck fest, but all in all, just excited. Hopefully, continue a good run.
Hey man, that has to be absolute cap because we brought you in before asking if you were okay with the interview. You said you weren't going to qualify well, but now you're on the pole, so you're going to be leading this field from the front. But again, about that first win at Nashville Superspeedway, you continue that trend with BBR, having the success at Music City, and you talk about it now. On the pole here, you've got a lot of momentum. What does that first win say as a statement for you to the rest of the 4-wide camp as you move through this season and try to capture more wins over the season and maybe a first championship in your rookie campaign?
For sure. I hope everyone doesn't think it's a fluke because I'm going to prove it through these next few races that it wasn't. So, yeah, just super happy to carry on the BBR legacy in Music City. I think that's 3 out of the 4 wins that we've had. So, yeah, just going to try to continue on the success.
All right, well, Luke, we certainly appreciate the time, and we're definitely going to be talking about those Phoenix Suns colors. They were a part of a 3-team trade earlier today, so Francisco and I will have good discussions about that. But for real, best of luck on the pole, best of luck in tonight's race, and again, congratulations on the win in Nashville. Well-earned and a big victory.
Yep, for sure. Thank you, guys.
So that is Luke Knupp, driver of the number 45, and Francisco, I mean, we mentioned it last week at Nashville, and he told us after the race, he said, when I get to the lead, I am not going to give it up. I got this. And to say that against the best driver, arguably, in the history of the 4-wide racing series, you think that's a tall order to get done. But he actually did it, held on to the lead, and now Luke Knupp with so much momentum as he'll start this race from P1.
And it certainly is a tall order at the end of the day, Kenneth. It's not easy to just say you're going to hold somebody off, but you need that confidence. You need to be able to feel that you can do it. That way, when you're out there on the racetrack doing the task at hand, you're able to go out there and perform exactly the way you need to. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you might start doing a thing or two wrong, and that might slow you down a little bit, and maybe that does reel in that car behind. So you have to stay focused 100% of the time and feel that you can accomplish what it is you're trying to do. And Luke was able to do that last week. We'll see if he can do it this week as he'll roll off from pole.
We'll see how that confidence flows into tonight's race, his hometown one here in Avondale, Arizona. Let's take a look at the starting grid, see exactly where every single driver and your favorite driver will be lining up here tonight from the Arizona desert, and it is the Phoenix Suns number 45 of Luke Knupp, winner from last week at Nashville, on the pole with a 27.202. Well, he's got the driver he faced last week, mano a mano. Lawson Peel, Season 4 champion, lines up right alongside. We'll see how that battle fares over tonight's race. Brandon Banks in the Reese's Chevrolet Camaro for Drinkin' Bros Racing lines it up on third. And Craig Lautenslager, how about a great qualifying effort for driver 13. He'll start tonight outside in row number 2 with a brand new paint scheme to boot. The 48 of AJ Green starts tonight inside the top 5. He's got Ethan Fonseca Moreno in the number 43 to his outside in P6 before you find Kyle Benson in the 38 and defending champion Jaden Porter in the number 28, rounding out the top 8, and then goes the rest of the top 10. Mikey Neal, the rookie driver in the number 8 car, starts in 9th, and Scott Healy Francisco makes his 4-wide racing debut in Season 6. He starts tonight from the inside of the top 10.
Adam Alishire in that 91 is going to be back looking for redemption. He starts in the 11th spot with Wyatt Brackett alongside for the 12th position. Lance Hill with a 13th place qualifying effort alongside him, the 71 of Curtis Kelly. Looking down at the 15th position is the 0 of Jesse Prees alongside Eric Schaefer, who's finished top 5 in both races so far this season. Kevin D'Elia will be in the number 53 and 17th position with Tony Kivett down in the 18th spot in that 76. Joe Sanchez with a 19th place starting spot, and rookie Trevor Haley in 20th.
21st goes to the Muncie, Indiana native of Christopher Bishop, Cody Kinsey in the number 2 with his Miami Vice-esque car. He'll be on the outside in row number 11. League owner Tyler Murray, a lot of work he needs to do from 23rd on the grid. He will have CJ Munier in the 89 on his outside. Jason Hastings in the 49 is top 25 this evening. Richard Rico makes his first debut in the 4-wide racing series for MTC Esports. He rolls off from 26th. 27th goes to the rookie driver Ryan Pandicio in the 63. Colin Forrester bearing errands on his Toyota Supra tonight for Stonks Motorsports. He rolls off from 28th. And the last two in your top 30, Craig Parks in the 17 and Eric Stewart in the 82.
Travis Anderson and the TJ's team number 24 will be starting in the 31st spot with Michael Newbrawl in the 32nd position. Brandon Gillis makes his season debut in the 33rd spot with TJ Burst looking for some more redemption for the second time running. He'll be in the 34th spot. Austin Reedy looking to finish a race this season will be in the 35th position with rookie Patrick Thompson in the 36th spot. And then you have Ryan Steenbachers down in the 37th position and Jeff Noe in the 38th spot. On the 19th row, Tyler Warner will be starting from the 39th position, and rounding out your field is going to be the 29 of Timothy Cook.
And one more driver, the 41st driver, David Brackett in this 7, his second 4-wide racing TJ's team series start. Well, as the field takes behind the iRacing official pace car, Francisco, you and I were talking about it before this race. The weather, it is very hot in Avondale, Arizona, for good reason. We're in Phoenix. Track temp at 101, temperature at 69, east winds to 2 miles an hour, partly cloudy conditions. Francisco, you were touting how hot this racetrack would be, and you weren't lying. It's going to be a crisp one for these drivers as we get set for the green.
And I thought it would be a little bit warmer, Kenneth, because as we move on through the season, the summer months will approach very rapidly, and that means those temperatures will skyrocket, the cars will slip and slide, but we are in the desert, so it's fitting that we have triple-digit track temperatures for our drivers here tonight, and this track will not be easy. They're going to have to save a lot of tires and save their race cars. No fast repairs. You have to take care of your stuff.
Well, here we go. Luke Canup in the 45 looking for his second win in a row. Lawson Peel looking for his second win of the season. Green flag in the air from Phoenix.
And you see from that shot right there overhead, Kenneth, when you go through the field, as they go through 1 and 2, they're going to fan out 3 4, crash in the middle of the back straightaway, huge one.
Big crash, it's almost everyone involved. The parking lot on the back straightaway heading for turn 3. That might have been the biggest crash I have ever seen. Curtis Kelly among those involved. Lance Hill, Jaden Porter, CJ Munier, TJ Bursk, Eric Schaefer, and the whole field, Francisco, and I mean the whole field, is involved on a skirmish on lap 1.
This might require a red flag if we had any, Kenneth, because the track is still blocked. I'm not sure where this started, and I had just finished mentioning how drivers were fanning out 3, 4, and even 5 wide in certain parts of the racetrack when they go down here to turn 1. But as you see here, there's Lance Hill and that number one machine. Looks like there's contact just ahead, and somebody checks up. It looks like an incident happened just in front with Adam Alishire maybe with the 43 of Ethan Fonseca. We'll get a second look at it. But it looks like contact up ahead just outside the top 10. There's the... Not sure who that is right there, but there's AJ Green. There's the 38. There's the 43. Looks like Ethan gets into the wall, Kenneth, and gets into the 48, and that blocks the entire racetrack for 30-plus cars. And look at the carnage. Bumpers laying all over the racetrack, cars piling in, certain running into each other. There's a lot of damaged cars here, many that probably can continue, but certainly are going to have heavy impacts to their race, Kenneth. So that just turned its head on its roof, and we didn't even complete the first lap.
When you have no fast repairs in Season 6 of this series, you bet your bottom dollar a lot of these drivers might just be taken out of this race. We're going to take another look at it. This is from Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who got the outside wall and ended up the catalyst of this incident. So right out of turn 2, grabs the outside safer barrier, then gets the 48 of AJ Green. And that is the whole field behind them. That's Adam Alashire in the 91. Second week in a row he's been involved in an incident. Kyle Benson with a bit of damage. And that might have been the biggest crash I have ever seen on iRacing. At a track not named Talladega or Daytona or even iRacing Super Speedway. As a matter of fact, a absolutely monumental crash on lap 1. And that's going to take many drivers out of this already. Jaden Porter and company on pit road getting their extensive damage repairs. And Francisco, there were a lot of drivers in this field. I mean, 41. And I probably would expect the carnage to happen in 1 and 2, but never on the back straightaway like that.
I'm at a loss for words, Kenneth. That was a huge crash. You're right. I've never seen a crash that large happen at a track so small. And that's going to really hamper this race because there's a lot of drivers that started towards the back end of the field that I mentioned. There's a lot that might be able to continue, but certainly are going to have extremely damaged cars. You see several guys are still sitting on pit road, missing bumper covers and front ends, and fenders are damaged. So they certainly won't have full race pace, but they'll certainly still be able to run in the race. So I think that's going to blend itself into a lot of field spread here today, and certainly going to present itself an opportunity for lap traffic. We have 200 laps here, Kenneth. I don't think that was stressed to these guys when they were going through turn 1. There is 200 laps of this race here tonight, and a lot of guys probably just lost their shot at the win.
And you'd expect that in turns 1 and 2, there would be a lot of aggression, right, on the brakes and drivers trying to get spots immediately on lap 1. But really the blame is put on the wall on the outside of turns 1 and 2. That obviously wasn't any aggression by Ethan Fonseca Moreno. He was just trying to get a good exit out of the corner, keep pace with AJ Green, but he makes that little mistake and gets right into the 48, and that causes the entire pileup. And this is one of those tracks, Francisco, that doesn't have a lot of margin for error. You know, you don't have any aprons on this back straightaway. You have 2 walls surrounding you on the inside and the outside. So whenever you have a crash like that, you get that many drivers involved, there's not a lot of room to escape. Hence why you saw so many drivers, 1, pile into the incident, but number 2, come to a complete stop right behind them.
It kind of reminds me of the crash that happened here. I think it was in 2011, the last race on the old surface. I think you know exactly which one I'm talking about, Kenneth. Yep. It was the spring race, and the crash happened on this part of the racetrack. But if you remember, there used to be grass right there where half those inside cars are running, and it was a lot flatter. So when the cars were wrecking off of turn 2, everybody was either piling in or having to slow down, completely stop, because the track was completely blocked. And that's exactly what we saw there, Kenneth. Over 20 cars involved in that incident there. A lot of damaged race cars. Certainly some cars are probably out of the race, and if they're not, they're still trying to go out there and run for points, because with so many damaged cars, Kenneth, and so many of them running, you can still maybe get a top 20.
A bunch of drivers getting damage repair. We do know that at least 4 or 5 drivers are listed as out of this race and will not be able to continue. But the drivers at the front, they've had no problem since lap number 1, and it's going to be the same front row as the green flag. Lucan up and Lawson Peel. The 45 and the 12 will bring them through turns 3 and 4 into the Geico restart zone. Our first restart of the night at lap number 7. We're back underway from Phoenix.
And a great launch there from Lucan up to be able to get out there and stay in the lead as they go to turn 1. Lawson Peel will hold on to the second spot, but he's going to have a little bit of a challenge from behind. You see them side by side for position. Mikey Neal up inside the top 5 now, trying to see if he can take the 3rd spot with the car blinking up there on the outside. There's Ethan Fonseca Moreno battling the 54, Brandon Banks. That's going to be for the 5th spot. It looks like we're going to be single file through the first portion of the field, and that is our first complete green flag lap of this race. As you see battles going on behind Jason Hastings inside the top 10.
There's a 49 trying to hold off the 99, Colin Forster, among those drivers who gained so many spots after the huge crash on the back straightaway, so he was able to take advantage of the situation. He goes head-to-head with Kyle Benson. That one quickly decided out of turn 2, and so they'll chase for turns 3 and 4. They'll all be single file. I'm guessing they learned their lesson from lap number 1. Just try to avoid mistakes, tiptoe around this Phoenix Raceway. And you and I were talking before we went live, and you brought up a great point, the fact that this is really the first time ever in 4-wide history, at least recently, that we've had Phoenix be a day race. More often than not, over the last couple of seasons, Francisco, we've gone into the nighttime. Tonight, this is going to be a race under the sunlight all race long from lap 1 to lap 200. So it's a unique challenge being posed to the entire field because they're used to the cooler track temperatures. They're used to this track being lit up by the lights around it, but never under the sunlight for 200 straight laps and 200 miles.
Yeah, it's going to be a grueling one for that matter, Kenneth. And the only time I can recall us covering a race in the daytime here at Phoenix was the ARCA Series when they ran here at the older surface of this racetrack. So these guys are definitely presented with a new challenge, at least for this competition. They've certainly ran in the daytime here in official races and NIS, but a new challenge for them here in this series. As there you see Lawson Peel closing up to the back bumper of Luke Knupp, trying to see if he can potentially battle for the top spot, but for right now, he's going to have to hold back. And Kenneth, that outside lane is going to be very prominent. You can either use it to make passes or use it to defend because there's so much momentum to be found up there. The closer you get to the wall, you can use it to rotate the car a lot better, and you can certainly get runs off the corners to be able to mount a charge into turn 3 or hold somebody off for another lap.
We saw Lawson Peel in practice do a really funny line in turns 3 and 4 where he would ride all the way to the top side near the outside wall, and then he would arc the car down to the start finish line where he'd be able to get as much speed as possible. And right here, under fire from the 13 of Craig Launslager. So here comes the Murray Reedy Motorsports number 13, brand new AMD Ryzen colors on his Ford Mustang tonight. Makes that pass happen, so move the 13 into second place here at Phoenix. 13 laps complete, but caution is going to come out, and it looks like Ryan Steenbacher's facing the inside wall. That's turn 3.
Looks like an incident there, and that happened just after Launslager took the position away. It looked like Peel maybe with a little bit of correction there in the middle of turn 3 because you saw him way up the racetrack, almost lost another spot. But fortunately for him, that caution comes out. We'll see what happened here to the 79 here, and he's going to be battling. Looks like, I couldn't quite make out who that was, but he gets into the back of him, spins down, and hits that inside wall, and he's sitting very close to the racing line, Kenneth. And this was actually something you and I discussed about off camera last week. There was an incident with TJ Bursk, I believe it was, who was sitting basically like this, about that far away from the apron of the racetrack, and it resulted in no caution. And then this week we have the caution flag, so I'm sure that's going to catch your eye. But there you see, gets loose into the corner, hits the back bumper of that car in front of him, and it results in the car spinning out away from him, and he ends up having the caution wave. But also, I am caught up here now with the driver of the 28 who was involved in that first caution on the backstretch. And Jaden Porter, welcome to the booth. I'm sure you didn't want to talk to us this early, but kind of walk us through your perspective from what happened.
Yeah, I saw Ethan get loose, and I guess he got into AJ Green. They hooked into the wall. I lifted to not get in it, but the guy, I think Scott behind me, didn't see the wreck, and it just sent me down the inside wall, and everyone was getting in it. So just a big pile up. I don't think I've seen a wreck like that at Phoenix. You expect that like Talladega or something, but obviously not the greatest start for us this season. Auto Club didn't go well. Last week was okay, but now we're gonna be a pretty big points hole, so we gotta dig out of that.
You mentioned it there, that you're going to be in a big points hole with the early retirement here. You're sitting still in the race car. I'm sure you're hoping to finish getting those damage repairs and try and see if you can salvage some points with the many cars that are damaged here tonight, right?
I'm gonna see. I got like 26 minutes, so I'll be here for a minute. I'm just probably gonna roll around for a little bit, pass some cars that have already left maybe, but at most I'll do like 5 more laps and then back out probably.
It's certainly not the result we you expected here tonight, Jaden. So we wish you luck as we move towards Las Vegas next week, and unfortunate ending here for you.
It's all good. Thank you.
As the driver of the 28, Jaden Porter, obviously not happy with the scenario there, being involved in that opening lap incident. And you talk about there the hit in the points that he's going to take based on this finish, and the fact that he's going to have so many drivers in front of him that have healthy race cars, and his is rather wounded. He was tied for third on points over the first 2 races. Francisco, obviously, that's going to be a big decline here at Phoenix, and we talk about the new changes for Season 6 of this 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. Among the many, including the Xfinity Series car and some others, is the point system. No longer are the win and you're in playoff scenarios. Now you're going to have a consistent season over the year, and that accumulates to where you place yourself in the standings, whether that be in the playoffs or not. So every race, no matter how long the season is going to matter. And for Jaden Porter, races like these are going to hurt significantly. And the same goes for AJ Green in the 48, Wyatt Brackett in the 10, Jesse Prees in the 00, among those drivers who got significant damage in that first lap crash.
You're right about that, Kenneth. It's going to dig them a points hole that they don't want to be facing. But the fortunate part for them is that they have time, so they can try to be able to dig out of it as best as they can. And they have some good racetracks for them coming up, of course, where they can try and make up for it a little bit. But you certainly don't want to get yourself into this position really at all. And that comes down to the aggression of lap 1. There's nothing they could have done about it in that situation. The entire racetrack was blocked, so it's kind of just was meant for them at that point. So you tip your hat to bad luck, and you have to move on to next week at Las Vegas to try to do something different. And in that crash, Kenneth, 3 of your last 4 champions were involved, with Scott Healy, AJ Green, and the 28 of Jaden Porter. So a lot of big names taken out in that wreck.
Gonna have to look for a better week at Las Vegas as we continue the short West Coast swing back into the restart zone. Green flag in the air, lap number 18. We mentioned that battle between Lawson Peel and Craig Lounslugger, where now it has changed hands again. 12-car moves to the inside of the 13. Mikey Neal making it 3 wide through the middle. That's his BBR teammate, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, on the inside, car number 43. And they'll settle it out before they get out of turn 2. That could have easily been dicey between the 2 teammates. They got involved in incidents last week at Nashville Superspeedway, and now here comes the Cheez-It car. Kyle Benson looking to take a bite of the top 5.
Benson was able to get through that wreck, and here he is trying to see if he can make up for some points, Kenneth. He was involved in trouble the first couple of races, and he's trying to see if he can finally have a good run under his belt and get some solid points to launch him up into the point standings battle. We haven't seen Kyle Benson go to victory lane in a couple of races. Was in that championship 5 last season, but we haven't seen him true to form in a while, and he hopes to write that script and be able to change it here tonight.
Finished 5th at Nashville Superspeedway a week prior as Ethan Fonseca Moreno strikes the outside wall, but Benson certainly looked for better after Auto Club. The struggles that happened there after getting involved in an incident early, and so far at Phoenix looks to be pretty good. Over the 20 laps we have run, battle for second underway and decided again. Man, the 13 and the 12, Francisco, they've been going back and forth trying to decide who will be the next challenger for Luke Canup. Although he's fared well at the front of the field, BBR teammates Neal and Moreno continue to go at it with Kyle Benson. The Lounslugger slots his way into P2, but not without a fight from the Season 4 champ. Mikey Neal is sideways in the back of the field, or the top 5 at least, in turns 1 and 2, collects Colin Forrester and Ryan Pandicio. And for the 3rd time tonight, caution is out.
It looks like he got tagged from behind, possibly, as there's another little crash there just afterwards. We'll see here exactly what happened. It looked like there's a battle going on behind him for that 5th position with his teammate, and they see the 38 of Benson to the inside. So they go back to turn 1, and it looks like the 38, not sure if he went in there too deep or if the 8 came down there, but around goes the 8, and you see Kyle gets a little bit of damage, and there you see Pandicio and Colin Forster get some damage there. Lance Hill was able to avoid, and there you see right there on the bottom of the racetrack, somebody got turned around in the mess of trying to miss that crash. That was a close call as well for Tyler Murray. He's able to go around on the outside, and there you see a little bit of a brake lock up, trying to slow down and hit and not hit anybody. Gets spun around, but no damage to that race car. But there you see it once again. Looks like Benson. It looks like it was a mix of both, Kenneth. Looks like Benson was trying to battle against the 43 and the 8, comes down a little bit at the same time. So just kind of one of those racing deals.
Look at the damage there to Colin Forrester. Mikey Neal went immediately to pit road. That third driver involved that didn't suffer any damage, that's the 42, Christopher Bishop, the Indiana native, who found himself braking hard for that incident and just got into the back of one of the drivers. Couldn't exactly tell who it was. Might have been one of the MTC Esports machines that he got into the back of. Decided that the car could not handle it anymore. Decided to go around facing the inside wall. But no significant damage to note of for driver 42. But for the 99 of Forrester, that's a big hit there. And Francisco, that is the second Stonks Motorsports car that suffers this much damage early on. AJ Green was the first in the 48, now the 99, and Stonks Motorsports have had a really up and down first two races, especially with guys like Lance Hill returning to the roster this season, and with Forrester and AJ Green. I mean, they've tried their best, but they have faced bad luck, and tonight, no different.
Yeah, I've also been paying attention as well, Kenneth. It's already starting off on the wrong foot. On the owner's side, we got a car out of the race, and now we have another one involved in an incident, so looks like my wallet is going to really cry after the night.
Man, Nashville was tough on both of us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a winner, so at least Luke Knupp could have probably paid off for all the damage that happened with Mikey Neal and Fonseca Moreno. But at least there's two BBR cars inside the top 5 right now, but they are being spearheaded in the middle by Lautenslager and Lawson Peel. It's been good racing up front up till this point. And as of right now, we've had a lot of cautions come out. Significant drivers, heavy hitters, as a matter of fact, with some damage. Let's take a look, though, at Phoenix Raceway, at least in more detail, Francisco, because ever since this track got a revitalization in 2017, man, this one has been very different from what it used to be. There's no more grass on the dog leg. The turns were switched up. The start-finish line was moved. This track is a challenge and a handful with these Xfinity Series cars.
It certainly is. This track has went through several changes in the past decade. It got repaved in 2011, and they moved the start-finish line over to where it is currently from where it was on the backstretch originally, back in 2017 when it was temporarily the ISM Raceway, and now it hosts the NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Truck Series Championship races here in November. And NASCAR did confirm that it's going to be back for 2024. So Phoenix Raceway, a championship venue, not in the 4-wide Racing Cup Series, but we will see this track again towards the later portion of the season, Kenneth, down in the playoffs just before our championship finale at Homestead. It'll be the second to last race in the playoffs. That one will be under the lights. So it's going to be very interesting to see what these guys can take from this race and use it there, because certainly it's going to be two different racetracks.
The last time we visited Phoenix Raceway, right before the finale, Brandon Banks, Kyle Benson, a stunner of a finish, and put that 54 into the championship 5. So there's notes you've got to take if you're some drivers here tonight. You want to make sure that if you get to that championship route, you make it that far in the playoffs, you've got some tricks up your sleeve when you get back to Phoenix later on in the season. Green flag restart, lap number 26. And once again, the 45 off to a good jump for turn 1, but Lawson Peel, Craig Lautenslager looking to make it a fight for second.
They're going to be fighting away for second, but Lautenslager does have the outside, so it should give him the momentum down the back straightaway. Looks like Ethan will try and get to the outside of Peel. He does. He's there towards the right side of driver 12, and they'll be side by side going back to 3.
And here's Kyle Benson on the backside of all of this. He was fighting with the 43 a little earlier on in this race, and now just trying to hold on to it with the 12. Falling back just a little bit, that 13 of Lautenslager able to take advantage. Nobody able to topple the 45. Get some laps led of their own. The 12 will go up the racetrack from the middle, and will hold on to that spot. So single file at around most of your top 10. First real side-by-side battle happened at the back end of the top 10 with Lance Hill, Craig Parks, and Jason Hastings. That seemed to have simmered down. And Eric Stewart looking for the inside on Parks. Those are two rookies in this series. And how about Jeff No right behind them?
Craig Parks finally having a decent run going in the early portion of this race. Kenneth has had a struggle being involved in incidents the first couple of races, so right now he's up in the top 10. I'm sure he'll like to be able to do this.
Driver out of Ontario, Canada, one of the few Canadians in this 4-wide Racing TJ's Team Series field. And as he moves up into the top 11, Jeff No, the rookie driver for MTC Esports, will be right on the inside He'll try to make it a fight for position. It looks like he will make it. The TJ's team, Ford Mustang, finds a way to the inside. And Francisco, with that big crash, it did take a lot of drivers out of contention for positions like these. But for Jeff No, who started deep in this field, beneath the top 30, he started 38th, almost last in this field. That big crash certainly proved as a helpful sign for car 14. He's moved into the top 11 for the first time this evening.
And it also helps the driver that was behind him there, that 33 of Tyler Warner, who also started pretty deep in the field. And now he finds himself trying to battle for a top 10 spot, as they both have gone past the 82 of Eric Stewart. So now officially the 14 and 33 battling away for a top 10 spot.
Tyler Warner finished 22nd at Nashville. Jeff No with a 15th place finish, and he'll get tagged by Eric Stewart on the back straightaway. Car 33 goes around, and caution is out for the 4th time. And it's similar to the wreck on lap number 1. Car on the outside gets the wall and gets the driver on the inside. Tyler Warner, an innocent bystander, and gets some heavy hits on lap 31.
Do we count that as the commentator's jinx?
Oh, maybe so. I mean, we're saying they were having good runs, immediately get involved in a caution. And it starts with the 82 of Eric Stewart. Got into him as he was trying to fight for the position. Francisco, what happens here? I mean, you're side by side coming out of turn 2, a very treacherous corner here at Phoenix.
It is, and if you're Eric Stewart here, you're thinking getting to the outside of that 33 to be able to carry the momentum down the back straightaway, but he just runs out of racetrack, it seems, slams the outside wall, and of course, when he does that, the car by nature turns away and goes into the side of the 33. We'll see if we can get an onboard look from that driver, and there you see the 82 on board. So here you see he gets cleared for position, but he's trying to get back to the outside, just gasses it up, but does not have the grip to do so. Bounces off the wall, gets into the 33, and then gets into him again a second time there. And now he finds himself on pit road, having to fix some damage on the 33, as well as we do have some pit stops here, it seems. Several cars that were running up front. Looks like the 45 able to come away with the top spot. Looks like the 13 of Lautenschlager able to come in second. And then we have a driver that looks like has a brand new driver has moved up into the 4th spot. And that is the 79 of Ryan Steenbacher. So potential 2-tire call there.
Courtesy of a 5.8 second stop. Looked to be fuel only, I believe, for Steenbacher's. Not sure if that was an accident by any means. But remember, we talked about TJ Bursk last week when he didn't take any tires at the front of the field. We did not know why. But with the 79 of Steenbacher's, we're probably going to ask some of the same questions. He did not come down pit road again, so it appears to be a strategic call. And it's also a strategic call for the drivers who stayed out in front. Cody Kinsey, Tyler Murray, Tyler Warner are going to remain on the racetrack, and we'll keep an eye as to whether they come down pit road. But for the moment, they're going to stick with their calls for now. And Cody Kinsey will be the first new leader here from Phoenix Raceway. Luke Knupp has taken control of this race for the moment, and Tyler Warner just blew the engine.
Oh my. That might be from that damage from the crash, Kenneth.
He was trying to limp it back to pit road, it appears, and he might have missed it the first time around, hence why he was 3rd place on the timing sheet. And the engine just went poof, so the 33 might be considered out of this race, and if not, he's going to have lengthy repairs on his Siemens Ford Mustang for Murray Reedy Motorsports. And for Tyler Warner, the struggles continue here in Season 6 over the first 3 races. The driver out of Bismarck, North Dakota. So Cody Kinsey and Tyler Murray are going to stay out. Luke Knupp has led pretty much all of this race so far, Francisco. And let's talk about this paint scheme, well, shall we? Phoenix Suns inspired paint scheme. This is the Valley paint scheme, City Edition jerseys that they've worn over the past couple of years. Not to say I'm the biggest fan of the Phoenix Suns right now, in a wink wink on a 3-team trade that happened earlier this afternoon with a so-called point guard from Portland Trailblazers that should have gone to South Beach, but unfortunately ended up in the Pfizer Forum out of all places.
Yeah, Dame Dollar is going to the Milwaukee Bucks.
I'm still salty about
it. Yes, exactly. But, you know, it's a really nice paint scheme, and it reminds me of a friend of ours, Cole Williams. He would used to run a paint very similar to that one, albeit, and he would always rep it. And we knew it as the Kelly Oubre machine. So I see that car, and it brings back memories to that machine.
You read my mind there. That was the first thing I thought of when he sent it as a paint scheme, I said, yeah, that's Cole Williams right there. Cole Williams has had a lot of success at Phoenix Raceway. If you're an avid watcher of the KBueno Racing Network and probably a little bit of a historian, that's one of our oldest races as we started this channel. We're going to try to get back to focus here on this restart. Lap 35 of 200. Cody Kinsey on the gas first, but under fire immediately and is going to relinquish the position. Tyler Murray will take control, and here comes Luke Knupp with no time wasted. Back to the lead in turn 1.
The outside's going to be blocked for Lawson Peel, so Peel's going to lose a couple of positions here, or at least be susceptible to the likes of the 43 of Ethan Fonseca as they go to turn 3. There you see the 12 looking to the inside now. He'll try to get past Cody Kinsey as several cars way up the racetrack.
And it's all the old tire machines, the 36 and the 2, going to give way to all the fresh tire cars on the inside. Almost 3 wide entering turn 1. Lawson Peel looking to the inside of Craig Lautenslager. These two have gone at it for a bulk of the night. They have not been able to catch up to car 45. Now a 4-car pack exiting turn 2. Lance Hill looking on the inside in turn 3. This is for 6th.
And you see those cars with no tires are going to start falling back here as they were 4 wide for a moment off of turn 4, and they make it work. And you can see these guys with new tires are just trying to see if they can get by as quickly as possible. So you have a spinner further back. They spin down the racetrack. Another incident as turn 1, a car gets sideways. That's Jason Hastings in the wall, but the caution's out with the crash in 1.
And caution is out again. It looks like David Brackett, yes, involved in an incident. Ryan Steenbacher's in the 79, the second car involved. And Kevin D'Elia involved in it as well. The Skybox Toyota Supra gets significant damage, and it's another caution flag. Lap number 38. We'll see what happened here. Sort of a duo incident, Francisco. 2 separate parts of the track, and we missed the driver there. Patrick Thompson seemed to have been involved in this one. Let's take a look up the road. Car 88, that's Thompson. Car 7, that's Brackett, as Hastings goes sideways. There was something up the road, and Steenbacher's then went sideways, and a big hit for Thompson.
I'm not sure what happened up there with Steenbacher's. It looked like he was already around when that happened. I saw it on the last frame just before we switched cameras when we were watching this spin. This was the exact view we had.
So Kinsey gets hit by the 94, that's TJ Bursk, and then pulls the 79 around, and right into the rear end goes Patrick Thompson. David Brackett nowhere he could go. And so a 4-car stack up, which started entering turn 1.
So there you see Steenbacher's there. He's up the racetrack, and remember, he's on old tires too because he took fuel only on those pit stops. So here they go into turn 1. There was contact up here. There's Hastings spinning in the back, but there's Kinsey getting contact with the 94. Steenbacher's locks up, and with a lot of rear brakes, spins the car around. And I think he would have been fine. It didn't look like he was going to have any damage, but of course, nowhere to go for that other car, and that resulted in that contact being made and several other cars getting involved. So that's just adding to the carnage that we've had here tonight, Kenneth, which has been very attrition-filled, and it's only lap 39.
We started with 41 cars and currently sitting at around 27 on the lead lap. Hear more from Phoenix Raceway. It's been a lot of carnage so far, but we'll see if the race cleans up over the course of the race. You're watching coverage of race number 3 in the 4-Wide Racing TJ's Team Series, live on the KBueno Racing Network. Welcome back to coverage of race number 3 in the Season 6 4-Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. Restart here, lap number 42 from Phoenix. Luke Canup still in command of the field. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, though, makes an outside dash for second. Craig Lounslugger third, Lawson Peel and Kyle Benson to your top 5. But so far, Francisco, we've seen a lot of chaos, a lot of crashing, but the same common denominator has been the case throughout. Luke Canup has dominated this race, but might have a fight on his hands with his KBueno Racing teammate in Moreno.
After the win last week, the KBueno Racing duo find themselves up at the front of the field trying to see if they can control this one. But you still have a couple of challengers back there with the 13 of Lounslugger and Lawson Peel, all of them still looking very threatening right now.
And the 13, the 12, they both have been going at it for second all night long. They've been trying to play that game for most of the night. And the 43 has spoiled the party. Now here comes the 38 on the outside of turns 1 and 2. We mentioned how that could be a viable lane before we went live tonight. And that 38 Cheez-Its Ford Mustang making the most of it in 1 and 2. Now try the outside in 3 and 4. A bit of a help there from the one car of Lance Hill, who just entered the top 6 after being involved in that huge crash on lap number 1. Side by side for 4th, entering turn 1.
And with the outside here in 1 and 2, he should be able to keep that position and move himself up into 4th. But look at the advantageous position Lance Hill's placed himself in. He'll also get to the outside of Lawson Peel.
Top 6 last week at Nashville Super Speedway, a huge rebound. And Francisco, the driver of the 1, has not faced good luck in that first race of the season, and even a bit of that Nashville Super Speedway race 1 week ago. He had a poor finish with an early crash at Auto Club to kick off the year, and it was really poor for Lance Hill there in terms of the luck going his way. And then Nashville found a way to rebound from starting deep in the field, finished inside the top 10, and it looks like now, despite being involved in that first incident on the back straightaway, Lance Hill is back to form and looking like the Lance Hill we've grown to see over the course of this 4-Wide Racing series. And here comes the 94 TJ Bursk. We'll look for a pass on the inside. That's P6 decided in turn 1.
And that right there is probably the driver with the worst luck so far this season, the 94. He's definitely had fast cars at both races we visited at. It was a dominant car at Auto Club as Lance Hill looks like gets pushed up into the outside wall, so he'll fall back and lose that position to the 94. But TJ Bursk, Kenneth, has been very fast these first 2 races, has not had a result to show it yet. Tonight he's hoping to just be able to finish.
And that 94 had the pole at Auto Club Speedway, won both of the duels, which certainly set a tone for the rest of the field, and then had internet connectivity problems in that first race as he goes side by side with Lawson Peel. This is going to be for P5, and he's got it. Back to turn 3. And then at Nashville Super Speedway, looked like a promising start, was inside the top 3, and then the race just completely unraveled. We questioned so many times why he hadn't taken tires on a pit stop and stayed out ahead of the field. Just got absolutely ravaged by the field on fresh rubber, then went a lap down, then got around on an incident on the front straightaway that did not cause a yellow, and the race just did not go his way since. He's looking for his first official redemption race, and it might be tonight here at Phoenix, Arizona. He's had a chance to step into the top 5 as here comes Lounslugger for the chase again. Francisco, second place on the line, 13 on the inside in the dogleg.
Lounslugger has looked faster than the 43, Kenneth, but the problem is the 43 is able to use that outside lane, especially on this end of the racetrack, to carry the momentum down the back straightaway. And you see them both closing up to the back of the 45. Contact! Looks like they get into each other's door. Lounslugger loses momentum. Here comes DJ Bursk diving to the bottom for 3rd.
94 will try and take his first stab at the podium. The 38 right on the outskirts of this. He falls back. 94 on the inside, and that was a big mistake there by Lounslugger. Wouldn't expect him to make that stage of the race. He stays on the outside of the 94. But TJ Bursk has the position, enters the top 3 to try next at the KBueno Racing duo that has not been stopped over the course of the night. Look at this, Francisco. Top 7 have broken away from everybody else. Jeff No, the rookie, has stepped into the top 8. Everybody else behind them, all sparsely populated. You will not see a pack for a little while here around Phoenix. Just shows you again how much attrition has stricken the entire field with the big crash on lap number 1 and all the crashes that followed. I think our biggest pack apart from the top 7 is everybody around the top 15. Richard Rico, CJ Munier going at it for 14th.
You see cars are just kind of separated like seeds in an apple, really. They're scattered all over the racetrack, and you see there's almost contact there with CJ Munier. But a lot of cars towards the back end of the field are very spread out. They're a lot far behind the leader, and to the point where in a handful of laps, those leaders will catch up to those lap traffic and start to put cars a lap down. And what'll be tricky about them, and what I mentioned at Nashville, is in this series, because of the lack of fast repairs, you're going to encounter a lot of lap traffic that is significantly slower because of damage. And when you catch up to them, where you catch them is going to be extremely important when it comes to being able to get around them effectively.
And that 89 machine to Munier, driver out of Verona, New Jersey. And you're right there. I mean, it might be a lap car sooner than later if this race goes as green as it could. Lautenschlager moves to the inside, and Moreno starts to drop to the top 5. He did lose that spot to TJ Bursk, so the 94 moves up in a second. And now charging on your race leader for the first time tonight, TJ Bursk with a heap of momentum into turns 3 and 4.
He might have had slightly fresher tires. I'm not sure what lap he came down pit road or if he pitted with the leaders, but either way, the result is that 94 is proving to be very fast at this stage of the race. He's looking at those rookie stripes right in front of him, and he's hoping not to see that anymore.
Riding on board with the Monster Energy Chevrolet Camaro. Oh, and that's a tap at the outside wall in turn 2. Will lose him a bit of time, and there's the first bit of lap traffic. It's only one car up ahead of them, but it still could be a factor, especially where you catch them. And Francisco, we did mention that often at Nashville Superspeedway, especially with the carnage we had between Travis Anderson and Joe Sanchez. If you're a lead lap car, you can still be hurt by the lap machines when you make contact, or if you catch them at a wrong place at the wrong time at a racetrack, especially like this one where the exits of the corners are so dangerous. If you're like the 45, if you're like the 94, the last thing you want to do is approach that lap car at the exit of a corner or at a place where you really won't have a lot of space.
And also which line in the corner they take, because that lap traffic appears to be running the bottom of the racetrack, which means they're going to have to move up and try something else to get around that car if they get there mid-corner. And that right there is the 82 of Eric Stewart.
He'll get into the outside wall again at a turn 1 and 2. And let the leaders by, so no problems there, but we'll see how it all narrows up as he goes up the racetrack. Craig Lautenschlager will have to push his way through, bringing the 38 with him. Two Murray Reedy Motorsports teammates, and both of them, Francisco, were on opposite teams last season. Both of them, of course, faced off in the Championship 5 when it was decided after the Phoenix race here last season. And the 13, who had driven for Southern Heat Racing for so long, decided that it looks like the organization was going to merge with Murray Reedy Motorsports, make that a super team, and the 13 joining forces with Kyle Benson, Tyler Murray, and a bunch of other drivers at the MRMS camp in 2023. So the 13 putting on a show, though, with this teammate as of right now. And they're trying to hold off Lawson Peel while the top 2 have pulled away.
He's a little bit of a breakaway there. They're about a second clear of this duo right here. And the 13 of Lautenschlager has really been one of the more consistent drivers every season, Kenneth. He usually finds himself there in contention to be in that championship battle every single season. And he usually gets a win a season, kind of like Kurt Busch, if you will. But Craig Lautenschlager certainly a very respectable driver in this series, especially when it comes to worn-down racetracks, tracks where tires and tire saving is going to be very important. This track with these track temperatures is certainly no different, and it's proving here why.
The 13 car finished outside of the top 20 last week at Nashville Superspeedway after starting 33rd. It wasn't the greatest outing for the 13, and Auto Club really didn't go his way in terms of being in the spotlight throughout the night. But the 13 has proven himself so far in the top 3 as he tries to track down Luke Knupp and TJ Bursk, who have pulled away first and second as the battle for 4th starts to heat up Kyle Benson and Lawson Peel. 61 laps here from Phoenix Raceway. Why don't we turn up the sounds here from Avondale, Arizona, and crank it up here on the KBueno Racing Network. longest green flag run of the night here from Phoenix Raceway. Top two still the same, Luke Knupp and TJ Bursk, but they've been weaving through lap traffic and more of it, Francisco. We saw one car at first with Eric Stewart. Seemed like it was easy, no problem whatsoever. Now they're getting through Trevor Haley, Joe Sanchez, and Kevin D'Elia up the road, entering turns 3 and 4, but no real changes inside the top two.
And this is going to be the important part of the race, Kenneth. You can be fast on a long run, but can you navigate the traffic? You see TJ Bursk caught Sanchez at a bad spot exiting turn 4. It built the 45 a little bit of an advantage going into 1. Now they have the 53 of D'Elia between them, and that's not going to help TJ Bursk as they go out of turn 2. You see Bursk still not able to get alongside the 53. He'll try to off the corner here, but certainly in that particular instance, it helped the 45 just a tad bit. Now that group of back there consisting of Kyle Benson and Lawson Peel have to work their way through the same traffic.
And we're trying to get their way through turns 3 and 4, and almost looked like the 12 of Peel was going to attempt to pass there on the back straightaway. Did not have enough momentum, so we'll try again. We'll dive it deep in turns 1 and 2 as the 38 runs the high side. They've had Ethan Fonseca Moreno kind of watching them like a hawk the entire time, yet he's not been able to make a move either. But they have also pulled away from the 7th place car in line, Lance Hill in the 1. Remember Francisco, he was at the direct tail of this group earlier in this race. Well, now as lap traffic has filtered through the field, that one car has gotten a little bit slower, not been able to keep up the pace with these 6 that have set the tone so far tonight. And with the longest green flag run in the race happening right now, Francisco, you'd expect that pit road might be on the minds of some of these drivers. We're only 70 laps in, still 130 left to go. Still definitely need pit stops before this race is over. Are you thinking about it more if you're Luke Knupp or TJ Bursk, or would you rather think about it more if you're the drivers third on back in this small group of cars?
I think you're probably thinking about it if you're in this group right now battling, because right now you're in the lead and you're probably thinking, okay, caution's probably going to come out at some point. You're ready if it doesn't, but you're thinking about it more so here because you're battling for position. There's more spots for you to gain and or lose. And being in that battle, you try to see if you can do something different, try a different strategy to try and change things up, see if you can get some track position some way or another. And the pit road entry here is going to be interesting here, Kenneth. We haven't seen too many green flag pit stops at Phoenix before, but you have to go all the way around that corner on the very inside of turns 3 and 4. So when you get down over to that part of the racetrack, you're kind of shortcutting the racetrack in a way, but you have to be careful not to speed as the racetrack does curve there, and it can be very easy to miscalculate your pit road speed and you end up speeding, especially when you turn into your pit stall, if your pit stall happens to be in that curved section. And you see Lawson Peel, Ethan Fonseca trying to see if they can battle away for this position right here, as it looks like Craig Lautenschlager is no longer here, Kenneth. I'm not sure if there's some sort of connection issues because he's not on the timing sheets right now.
Keep an eye on driver of the 13, but yeah, it does appear that he just suffered internet connectivity issues, so sort of similar to what we saw out of TJ Bursk in the first 2 races, which, speaking of, just took the lead away from Luke Knupp. So first time that a driver not named Luke Knupp has led this race under green, and also not named Cody Kinsey. So the 94 takes the lead at lap 74, and once again they'll cross paths with the 82 of Eric Stewart right out of turn 2. And this time it'll be an easier and less chaotic pass this time. We saw the 82 hit the outside wall last time. The leaders were right in front of him. And that is really tough news, Francisco, for Lautenschlager, because he had been running so good all race long. And the season of struggles continues for the driver of the 13.
And for Murray Reedy Motorsports in general, they've been very fast, but they've had a lot of struggles this season, especially with internet and being involved in incidents. So you don't want to see that out of that team. You know that they can pull off some really good results, as there you see an incredible battle for position between the 43 and the 12. But there's Austin Reedy right now, who's running in the 16th spot, Kenneth. He's yet to finish a race, so right now this is more than good enough for what he's hoping for. And if you're the 38, or excuse me, the 36 of Tyler Murray, he's gotten top 10 in a couple of races so far this season, and right now he's just ahead in the 13th spot. So another good solid outing for the driver of the 36.
Reedy, a reflection of the struggles that Murray Reedy Motorsports has faced a bit throughout season 6, although it's really early predictions, early situations that have happened. It's only been 2.5 races almost now. Going to be 3 races by the time this race is over. But for Austin Reedy, one of the heavy hitters in the 4-wide racing series, you would have expected him to come out of the gate swinging, right? Probably some good finishes, maybe a chance at a race win. But so far, from Auto Club to Nashville, each of the races have not gone his way. He's been involved in crashes, has taken him out early, and it's not has been a season to remember over the first 2 outings, but now trying to make a memorable one, although tonight seems to be a little bit of a struggle as well. Top 16 and yet to break the top 15 with his teammate and team owner Tyler Murray in the 14th spot, right in front of him, with his teammate Christopher Bishop in the 42 right alongside as well. So it really not has been the greatest season for Austin Reedy, but looking to rebound with his Speedy Cash Ford Mustang tonight. Battle for the lead has switched again. Luke Knupp has gone back around the 94 of TJ Bursk. How about this? A pair of lap cars. Travis Anderson and Cody Kinsey in the 45 splits the difference in the middle.
And that's probably how the 94 lost the lead, Kenneth. Lap traffic. You saw he caught Travis Anderson in a bad spot. And for the matter, they caught Cody Kinsey in a bad spot too, but it wasn't as bad as where they caught Travis in that 24. And you saw Bursk had to take evasive action, and it cost him a little bit of time to the 45, and now he has to still get by the 2 of Cody Kinsey. So we'll see if we can get a look at what happened that gave the 45 the lead back. We saw the 94 Bursk take the lead away, but of course Luke Knupp was able to find a way back to the top spot. So let's see what happened.
So this is it coming out of turns 3 and 4. Hey, how about a little bump and run action here from Phoenix? Sent the 94 up the track, got him a little loose near the outside wall. And that was all she wrote. Luke Knupp being able to send it in turns 1 and 2. And that's the pass for the lead. That's a big slide job, checking that 94 car up in 1 and 2. Man, Luke Knupp getting physical here at Phoenix to take the lead back.
He's racing aggressive at home, Kenneth. You like to see it. You want to defend your home turf.
Well, I mean, you know something about that. A little thing or two, right? Homestead of Miami Speedway, whenever you go there.
Yes, that's exactly what it's like when I race at the Homestead Miami Speedway, Kenneth. I love racing at that racetrack. I know we're not here
car
today.
round!
No,
Travis Anderson, lap car, hit by the 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and now the caution will wave. I was questioning how long it would take for iRacing to deem that a caution, but Travis Anderson gets spun on the back straightaway. Caution is out again, lap 82.
The TJ's team car with major damage. You see the smoke coming out of the back of that car. And we kind of caught it sort of as it was going on, Kenneth. We saw the contact just as it had happened. I'm not sure how we got to that point, but we saw the contact with the 43 of Ethan Fonseca. And here's the battle. They were actually 3 wide for a second. It looks like contact with the 38 is what sends the 24 into the 43. Nothing Ethan could do there.
We'll watch it one more time, entering turns 1 and 2. 24 car way up the track. That battle developing for third. And it starts with Benson, so he'll get into the 24 at the exit of the corner, and Moreno will just finish it off. He tried to hit the brakes. You could tell car immediately weight shifted forward. He tried to stop as much as he could, but unfortunately it was not enough to get away from that back bumper of Anderson's machine. And we'll watch it on board for Moreno.
And again, just nothing he can do here. You see the contact with the 38, and then he has a car right in front of him. You see, he checked up, and you can tell because those 2 cars rocketed past on the outside, but just it fell on his lap, and there's nothing he could have done there.
So Travis Anderson gets significant damage, brings out the most recent yellow, and the race off of pit road decided. Luke Knupp wins the race with a 14.4 second pit stop. Kyle Benson in second. And the biggest loser out of all of that, Francisco, was TJ Bursk, 17.3 seconds on the pit lane.
Damage repairs.
Rather lengthy pit stop.
His damage repairs. Remember, he got the wall a little bit when he was battling for the lead, so I think he sat there and took advantage that there was a big spread of cars and he wouldn't lose too many spots and trying to fix some of that damage. Better to do it now, better to do it in this situation than sit there and deal with the damage and possibly cost you some more spots.
So Bursk is going to be in the top 5. Won't be a significant loss. Won't be too far behind the field, but will have to work his way back up through the front. And that's one thing that we have noticed about TJ Bursk's drive style, Francisco, is the fact that he can sustain rather well over a long run. He can save his tires quite efficiently, and by the time you get deep into a green flag stretch, he's going to be in the conversation whether you like it or not. And had he not had the problems at both Auto Club and at Nashville Superspeedway, Francisco, we could have been easily talking about maybe a race win, maybe 2 race wins out of the 94 of TJ Bursk. He came into this series in Season 6 with so much fire in his belly. He's just been hit with the bad luck over and over again. Tonight, hopefully, could be the rebound for Bursk as he'll line up on the inside of row number 3.
And Bursk is a veteran of the series, Kenneth. It's been a while since he's ran, much like Scott Healy, but he used to race in this series a lot more back in the Season 2, Season 3 days, and he was a very successful driver back then, even in those Gen 6 cars. So seeing him back behind the wheel, you love to see it, but it has not been the return I'm sure he was hoping for it in terms of results.
We'll double them up here for a restart at lap number 86. And about 15 laps away from the halfway mark here at Phoenix Raceway. It's Luke Canup in the race lead. Kyle Benson trying to take it away from him on the outside of row number 1. Ethan Fonseca Moreno will support his BBR teammate from the second row. Lawson Peel will be in 4th. TJ Bursk rounds out current top 5. And Eric Schaefer, how about that? It's been a struggle for him all night long and has moved into the top 7. Will join his teammate Brandon Banks in row number 4. We'll take a look at the weather before we get back to green flag action, and that's a significant drop on the track temp. It was 101 when we got started here from Avondale, Arizona. Now it's 95 degrees, 70 in the air, and winds have shifted to the northeast at around 2 miles an hour. It was waving to the east when we got the green flag. Restart here, lap number 86, and a good start by the BBR teammates on the inside. Canup takes control with Moreno right behind him to turn 1.
And that's great teamwork by those two, be able to get cleared like that, and they're able to control this race. Ethan will jump to the outside of Luke Canup. He'll roll the outside, so the 43 is going to challenge his teammate. They'll be side by side down the back straightaway. Looks like the 45 will squeeze him out.
He'll make it a battle for the lead. Bursk immediately jumps to 3rd on the restart, especially through the dog leg. The 43 trying to pressure his teammate back to turn 1, but so far no response. Adam Moreno quite yet on board with the San Jose, California native. 45 washes up in 1 and 2 for an exit to the back straightaway. And Moreno tried, Francisco tried to put in the throttle. Not good enough. And here comes Bursk for 2nd.
TJ will look to the bottom. If the 43 can hang around the outside, he should be able to hold on to 2nd. We've talked about how the outside has been able to work for several cars, especially in turns 1 and 2. You see, he kind of tags the wall, but a lot of drivers have done that in this race. They'll just barely brush the wall, so no real harm done there. He does hold off into the 2nd position, so looks like 43 will stay there and hold off TJ Bursk, and most of the field is single file, Kenneth. Again, a lot of attrition has gone on here tonight, and a lot of different cars with damage and a couple of lap cars as well, so most of the field single file now, trying to see if they can get another decently length run in.
We've seen a lot of problems, Francisco, with drivers hitting the outside wall, and that might just be due to the fixed setups given to every single driver here at Phoenix. You might also couple that with the hot track temperature. You don't have a lot of grip when you're going through the corners at a high rate of speed, but we've seen a lot of load being put on that right front tire. How effective do you have to be at saving tires, Francisco, over this run and learning through this race in order to save that tire long enough in this race to be able to not hit yourself into the outside wall and find yourself in that scenario?
As the track cools down, as we progress through this race, Kenneth, it's going to become less right front tire, where it's going to become more right rear, because when you're able to go faster, you put in more throttle, which means the rear tires will spin up more. So if they're able to put in more throttle, that means they can balance the wear a little bit. So you kind of have to control that in a way and try to use a little bit more of the brakes to turn the car than the steering wheel. If they're able to do that, they could save the right front. But as this race goes on, the wear that the tires will face in terms of which tire is the one getting the brunt of it, it will change. And that's why you see certain cars, maybe as the race progresses, will start handling better than others.
Seen a lot of problems with drivers in the right front tire, and hopefully over the course of the night we might see that start to even out, like you said, right rear base. These cars will start to get a little squirrely over the course of the afternoon in Sim. Here's Austin Reedy, driver the number 34. Last time we checked in with him, he was around the top 16, but has slowly worked his way up into 11th in a fight with Michael Newbraw for the 10th starting spot. In the 6 car, we're going to tap from the 34, and we'll go sideways right in front of the field. Catches CJ Munier. Right place, right time for the cameraman. Caution is out. Lap 93.
And you saw that happen right there. Looked like in real time. It looks like the 6 went in for the corner, checked up at his mark, and it doesn't look like the 34 expected him to check up at that point. Kind of just barely gets into the back of him and sends him spinning, hits the inside wall. Here's an external look at it. So Newbro checks up for the corner, and exactly that, Kenneth. The 6 checks up to go into turn 3. I don't think Austin Reed expected him to check up at that point.
Just a miscommunication on the brakes here. We've seen that a lot at the short tracks across the 4-wide schedule, and we were right on board with the 34 of Austin Reedy, who will most likely be docked for this incident. There are license penalty points given to drivers, and it does have ramifications throughout the season. Reedy is docked with a license penalty point for this on the race review. And that won't look pretty for the 34, who's had a rough year up until now. And you see the 89 getting into him. The 17 of Craig Parks getting a bit of damage. But it's mostly a single car incident. Newbra brings it down to pit road, and caution is out once more before halfway.
And you mentioned it there, Kenneth, the penalty point system. So for our viewers who probably don't understand how it works or don't know how it works, basically, if you get at fault for an incident, you get an incident point or a penalty point, if you will. It is not a point towards the standings, or you don't get removed any points from the standings for a penalty point. Essentially, it kind of works like the Formula 1 penalty point system. It adds up, and after a certain amount of races, if you have a certain amount of points, you could be fitted with the respectable penalty, whatever the race controller admins decided to have that as, and it's in our rule book that the drivers can access, so they are aware of what the penalties could be. But you get too many incidents in a certain amount of race span, Kenneth, and that's exactly how you can find yourself in trouble. And it's very effective, I'll tell you that, in terms of it's about a 2 or 3 race stretch where you can't have more than a certain amount of incidents, which of course, as I mentioned, it's all determined on whether a certain driver is at fault, how much at fault they are, and whether there was any net code involved.
So that will have lasting impacts throughout the season. And if you're a driver in this series, you got to make sure you keep it as clean as possible. You don't be at fault for the incidents that happen on track. But surely with the 34, that was an accident, right? Didn't mean to turn the 6 on that instance, heading for turns 3 and 4. Just hit the brakes a little later, got into Newbra. I'm sure he probably apologized over chat. Didn't really want that to happen. A 34 car now sits inside the top 10. We're looking at the 3 of Eric Schaefer, but for good reason, Francisco. Eric Schaefer has been sneaky fast throughout the first 2 races of Season 6. He had a 3rd place finish at Auto Club to start the year, and then came back with a 3rd place finish again at Nashville Super Speedway. Tied with his teammate Lawson Peel right now for first in the points standings. And here's Eric Schaefer back in the fight. We haven't seen much of him throughout the evening, but now he's inside the top 5, started 16th, was as low as beneath the top 35. And that 3 car, just like the first 2 races this season, starting to crawl his way back up to the front.
We'll see if he could go 3 through 3 on podiums, because so far it's been 2 third-place finishes and 3rd time out. We'll see if he's able to do it again. He's battling his teammate who's alongside of him as well, but 2 teammates alongside each other will be those on the front row. We've seen Ethan line up behind the 45 on the last couple of restarts, and it's really helped them be able to keep that 2nd spot. Let's see what they're able to do if they try to choreograph something here to work out something to be able to stay ahead of the field, or if it's every man for himself. We'll be able to tell once that 45 decides to get going. He's been able to go early, and there he does. He's able to get his foot on the throttle. It leaves Ethan to fight for 2nd.
Got away before the restart zone even came up to them, and the 94 takes advantage in the dogleg. He'll snag 2nd as the fight for 3rd builds up. Peel moves to the inside in 1 and 2. Bursk is looking for a 2-for-1, trying to aim at the race leader on the backstretch.
Doesn't quite have enough grip to be able to get there, but it looks like the 43 got the wall, because Lawson Peel's now back to the inside going to turn 3. Kyle Benson's moving up now into the 5th spot, keeping the 12 honest.
12 car will get the doors shut, entering turns 1 and 2. Kyle Benson, Eric Schaefer. Now they'll be in the back of single file action to the top 6. It looks like that has settled out quite quickly. First side-by-side battle around the top 14. Jeff No right behind a side-by-side battle for the P12 spot. Cody Kinsey and Richard Rico going at it. Car the 18 in his first 4-wide start in Season 6, driver for MTC Esports. I'm sure he's having a pretty good night from Phoenix in the top 12 right now, as the 42 of Christopher Bishop gets to the outside of the 14.
A good solid debut going so far for the driver, the 18. Christopher Bishop a little bit further back, having a decent run going for him as well. And they see rookie Jeff Nome on the bottom in that 14 car. He's been up in the top 15 for most of the evening to this point, so a lot of rookies, a couple of guys that are having good solid runs that they need to try and carry some momentum. And there you see now we are on board with the driver, the 14, Jeff No. He's running now in the 14th spot, trying to see if he can move up back up into 13th. He was running in the top 10 earlier, but now with these cautions, with these restarts, he's lost a couple of positions.
And Jeff No had the opportunity, Francisco, at being at the front of the field at Auto Club Speedway, his first ever race with this group, apart from the duels that he had a bit of experience in. Jeff No ended up at the front of the field with a strategy call near the end of the race. Of course, he did get passed in closing laps by Lawson Peel in the 12. No surprise there, as of course there was a big tire difference between the two, but Jeff did hold his own for a little while, Francisco, and we praised the 14's ability to stay out in front. It was rather calm. You'd expect that a rookie driver would probably panic a little bit, feel a little scared around one of the best drivers in the series, but he was not. Jeff No performed, and although it wasn't a race win, it was a solid finish for the rookie striped TJ's team machine, and Jeff No still performing well tonight. He's under fire from Tyler Murray here. This is for 13th, but Jeff No has had a clean evening so far from Phoenix. That's all you could ask for as a rookie. Keep the car on the racetrack, build up consistent runs that'll last you towards a possible playoff run.
And especially the most important part, especially now this season with the points format, Kenneth, is completing all the laps. You want to be able to be out there on the racetrack, complete all 200 laps, and be there at the end, because if you're able to do that, chances are you'll get a decent enough result.
Keep an eye on Jeff No as he loses that spot. Pretty much gave it away to Tyler Murray, not giving him too much resistance, saying, hey, I'll just give you this spot. Still a little less than 100 laps to go left in this race. Battle for 11th, 7th in the backfield. That is Craig Parks and Cody Kinsey on the back end of your screen. So far, Lawson Peel holding on to the top 4. Has not been able to break away from Kyle Benson or get to the 43's back bumper. And it goes the same for the top 2. 45 of Luke Canup continuing to hold on to the lead. And TJ Bursk, as fast as he's been, has not been able to get around the Phoenix Suns 45. He's been the most dominant driver all night long, and the Peoria, Arizona native has been making a statement so far at his hometown virtual track.
Yes, drivers want to defend the hometown track. We mentioned that earlier, but he's done a good job of backing it up as well, Kenneth. He came out here and said he's going to try and see if he can do it again, and so far he's been the dominant driver here tonight, but it has been with challenges coming from several different drivers, whether it be his teammate, whether it be TJ Bursk, whether it be Lawson Peel. He certainly has had several cars up there capable of challenging him for the spot, but he's held his own and he's been able to be at the top spot for several laps.
Well, mind you, the stat that we had a little earlier on in tonight's show said that Luke Canup was the first driver to win a race in his debut since Colin Forster back in Season 3. What did Colin Forster do in race 2 of Season 3?
He won.
He won. He won 3 races in a row.
And it was Phoenix.
Yeah, and it was Phoenix. So Luke Canup is going to try to do the very same thing. Go 2 in a row as a rookie driver and continue to put on the gas pedal. But TJ Bursk is giving him the fight of his life. And I'd say, Francisco, this is the hardest battle we've seen given to the 45. Yes, Lawson Peel has been strong. Yes, Craig Lautenslager was there at times. But nobody has been able to put that much pressure on Canup all night long other than this 94 car. He's made Canup blink a couple of times tonight. And although he's holding on to the spot right now, he knows he cannot afford a mistake because that 94 will be right there for the taking.
And that's certainly on his mind, Kenneth. Whenever that 94 goes down in a turn 1, you're thinking about it. You're looking in your mirror, and that's really what it's all about. It's TJ Bursk trying to make sure that Luke Canup looks in his mirror and sees that 94. That way he has to drive knowing that anything could happen at any moment from behind, and that's what it's like. You have to put that pressure on the driver, the 45, if you want to take this lead if you're TJ Bursk, and right now he's doing exactly that, just staying in there. That's the view that the driver of the 45 has in his mirror, and that's a menacing sight to see.
I mean, when you're getting hounded like that on the rear bumper, you get a little scared sometimes. I mean, I'm sure that Luke Canup has enough confidence to not worry about TJ Bursk, but still, I mean, when you have a driver that close behind you, you know that you have to run lap after lap after lap as perfectly as you can, because if you don't, Second place car is going to be there, and a driver as strong as TJ Bursk, he is not going to give away that lead without a significant fight. Look at the top 8. This is Ryan Pendicio, the Nexus Esports Toyota Supra. And the 63 of Pendicio has also had a quiet first 2 races as one of the drivers, and many drivers as a matter of fact, in the rookie class for Season 6. But great stuff so far, Francisco, out of Pendicio. A lot of highlights we've seen from him throughout the first 2 races of the season. And I'd say, apart from Canup, apart from Moreno, from Jeff No, this is a driver I'd be watching for. Pendicio has been consistent and has been pretty fast, a driver out of Massachusetts.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten a break yet, but if he gets one, he certainly is the type of driver that can take an opportunity and capitalize on it. Right now running 8th, so if he's able to keep this up, Kenneth, and get this top 10 finish, it'll certainly be a landmark run to this short point of his career, to this point. And if we move on to Las Vegas and he's able to back that up, I'm sure that'll build the confidence for the driver of the 63 moving on into the next couple of races, because you look forward to after Las Vegas, Kenneth, and what do you have? Talladega.
One of the most chaotic racetracks of all in the sim, and even in 4-wide competition. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen at Dega. And speaking of which, the driver behind him, Brandon Banks, I guess he's been able to control the chaos quite a bit. Multi-time winner at Dega, under fire now from the 34 of Austin Reedy. This is just on the outskirts of the top 5 at the back end of the top 10. But Pendicio joining the Skybox team for Season 6 of the 4-Wide Racing TJ's Team Series, and making that group up with 4 drivers. Kevin D'Elia, the main guy, and then Ryan Pendicio, the rookie driver, Curtis Kelly in the 71, and then Adam Alishire in the 91. And I'd say there's a little more weight on the shoulders of Pendicio this time around, because Alishire faced problems earlier on tonight. He's basically out of this race. His other teammate, Kevin D'Elia, has faced damage. He's had a strugglesome night. He's all the way back beneath the top 20, it appears. He's back in 28, out of this race, 43 laps down. Curtis Kelly in the 71 hasn't had the best race all night long, and is also out of this race in 35th. So he's the only Skybox team car remaining in this race in the top 10. So he's basically putting it all on for them tonight.
Yeah, he's holding his own, and he's carrying the flagship, and right now running in the top 10. So out of your rookie driver, there's not much more you could ask for. He's kept it clean, stayed out of trouble. So it's been a good job for him so far. And there you see the battle for the lead has stayed exactly where we left it. The 94 just can't really get within a car length or 2 of your race leader. But Ethan Fonseca Moreno has stayed close enough, and so has Lawson Peel, and for that matter, Kyle Benson. So it's a 5-car breakaway, trying to see if they can do anything for the front of the field. And look how close he got to the rear bumper.
Yeah, while TJ Bursk has been trying to snag the top spot from Luke Canup, 43 of Moreno, the 12 of Peel, the 38 of Benson, they have not gone away. They're still there. And as TJ Bursk continues to struggle to get around Canup's Phoenix Suns Toyota Supra, those 3 drivers are going to have something to say. They're not just going to sit around and wait for the 94 to take action. They're going to take action first, and they'll strike first if they can. A 43 car has picked up the pace rather recently. He's put up some similar lap times to TJ Bursk at around 28.7s lapping here at the Phoenix Raceway. So good stuff out of the KBRN Toyota Supra, and it's a BBR sandwich that Bursk finds himself in. And top 5 have broken away from the likes of Eric Schaefer and company, so you got to think about that as well.
Yeah, it buys them a gap. So right now, this top 5, if they don't cause themselves any negative trouble, they'll stay in the top 5. So it's certainly a good thing to look at in terms of if you're thinking of the overall point situation. If you start battling someone aggressively, it's think, okay, I can give this spot up. I'll still be safely in the top 5. And that's important to think once you're at this point in the race, Kenneth. We got just over 80 laps to go, but this is a relatively short racetrack as the caution will come out. So forget what I'm talking about.
And it's Brandon Banks, the 54, sideways in the middle of the racetrack. That's turn 3 near the Instacart sign on the outside wall. We were just mentioning how Banks was inside the top 7 earlier tonight and had himself a good position on the restart with his teammate Eric Schaefer, but the Reese's machine gets crunched up here on the back straightaway. We'll see exactly what happened to the 54 this time by, and it looked like it was in the group, Francisco, with Ryan Pendicio and Lance Hill. This is around the top 7, and here's a look at exactly what happened.
And they were all battling for position. It looks like Banks, looks like the 63 gets into the wall, probably bounces off of it into the 54, much like we've seen happen to several other drivers here tonight, Kenneth. So a repeat of what we've known so far, what we've seen so far, and it most likely results in the incident. We'll get a second look at it as we expect pit stops here, but it looks like the 60. I don't know. Maybe it looks like this time he thought he was on the outside of Banks and kind of ran out of room on his own, but still bounces off the wall into Banks. So I'm not sure there, but it does still look like a racing deal.
And here's the race off of pit road. Looks like the winner will be looking up in the number 45. TJ Bursk is going to stay behind in second. And the change for third, Lawson Peel going to get ahead of Ethan Fonseca Moreno. But you're right there, Francisco. It looked like the 63 thought he had enough space to stay on the outside of the 54. And Banks just put too much load on that right front tire. Thought he was probably going to be enough to get clear of Pandicio's Toyota Supra. The space ran out. They both make that contact as Pandicio ricochets off the outside wall and then gets into the 54. So makes that another caution here at lap 119. And we've seen longer green flag runs come out after every yellow. So at least that's a good sign. And I was about to say strategy was going to come into the fray. Looks like everybody is on the same page. And I was about to mention, Francisco, that strategy was not the bestest friend to Kyle Benson. Last time we were here at Phoenix Raceway, the driver of the 38 was driving the 10 last season, made his way into the championship 5, but had a shot at the race win. That was until he stayed up front on a strategy call near the end of the race. And then Cody Kinsey lap car hit the outside wall exiting turn 2, came back up onto the track, found Kyle Benson, and basically ended his race. Brandon Banks was able to get by for the race win on the white flag. So if you're Kyle, Francisco, you don't have the greatest memories by any stretch of the imagination here in Avondale, Arizona, but Kyle Benson tonight has been performing quite well. Top 5 run all night.
But it's not like that strategy didn't work either, Kenneth, because that was more of a rather random situation that just happened to happen, and it happened to happen towards him. So I wouldn't consider that as a failed strategy attempt. It's just very situational, because he certainly had the field checked on the strategy mark in that race, and he was half a lap away from a race win. So at least from the confidence standpoint, if I'm Kyle Benson, I think that I can still make this happen for myself. You just have to get up there and kind of see if you can go up there and do something about it. It depends on how many green flag laps we're able to get between now and the checkered flag. If we did stay green, there's certainly a green flag pit stop remaining, because we are currently at 80 laps to go. We'll be at 79 when they take the green. So if you're Kyle Benson, it's still far from over, but you certainly have to try and see if you can get past some of these cars in front of you, because there's been a lot of heavy hitters that have ran top 4, top 5 all night, and it starts with the teammates that are lining up nose to tail. Once again, Ethan Fonseca will start in the 4th spot, and it's going to be a race leader choosing the outside, seeing if he can get that push to push him out to the front.
Still a fuel stint left in this race. A lot of work needed still to be done by the drivers at the front of the field. Looking up takes the outside line and will go early at the exit of turns 3 and 4. Green flag back in the air, lap 122, but TJ Bursk has caught on to the 45's antics. He's got to the inside in turn 1 for the lead.
But the 45 has the outside. If he's able to get a good enough center of the corner, it should power him down to the straightaway, as there's almost contact. It looked like there was a wreck in the back. It looks like Lance Hill's still going, but he's way up the racetrack as there's 4 wide deeper in the field.
One car loose in the back. That was Timothy Cook, now dropping to the top 15, but we're going to stay green. The 43 is going to try and dart to the inside of Bursk as he goes wide off the exit of turn 4. Still single file inside the top 5, but that was a unique restart there that Bursk caught on to, Francisco. You think that the 45 will be able to just get away from the entire field and have no worries. That 94 is taking notes, and he's using it to his advantage on board with the 94 of Bursk.
And that's how you think most restarts should be, even though that the 94 isn't the leader. You think they could put up more of a fight. So to see that out of TJ Bursk, it goes to show that he had a great restart to anticipate what the 45 was planning on doing. And you saw he was pushing him up the racetrack just a little bit, not forcing himself to be pinned down to the bottom. That shows aggression out of this 94. He wants to try and battle for a win. And
this 94 car, every time you get around halfway in this race is when he starts to find the bad luck. But as we approach lap 125 and around 75 laps left, this 94 car remains strongly in second in between this BBR sandwich and has not been able to break free of the 45 and get the race lead once more. Battle for 8th that was developing. That was the Murray Reedy Motorsports duo, Austin Reedy and Christopher Bishop. They settled it out for 8th, and Jeff No right behind them in the top 10.
A good battle here for position as they've mostly gone single file once again like they've done on most of these restarts. There's Cody Kinsey right there who's in a top 10 spot. There's Austin Reedy who's moved his way up through the field. He's now starting to see getting closer to the front. He's running 8th now, Kenneth. He was 16th earlier, so Austin Reedy getting closer and closer to the front. A top 10 finish for him would be exactly what he's looking for.
And here comes TJ Bursk. He gets the inside of the 45 machine. Can he complete the pass? It is an obvious yes. TJ Bursk to the lead, and Luke Knupp with a crossover to the dog leg.
He lifted very early, and now he's going to try and see if he can slide job him going into turn 1 on the inside. Just doesn't have the grip to do so. Slides up a little bit, and the caution will come out. I do believe the 94 will be out in front, but where is the car in trouble?
We're going to figure it out. And it might have been Michael Newbraw in the 6. We're watching it right now in P19. And indeed, he's trying to pick up some positions lost on the caution, so he might have been the trigger of this most recent yellow right out of turn 4. And you talked about it, Francisco, earlier in the race. The wear would switch from the right front to the right rear. And this car steps out of turn 4. Michael Newbraw with a harmless side spin and triggers the yellow.
And another interesting caution there, if you will, Kenneth, because you see him go around there and he kind of locks it up, but he's already well off the racetrack at this point and kind of gets going quickly. So a quickie yellow here by iRacing the system, and it triggers a caution flag and it'll check the field down mid-battle for the lead. So we'll have to see what happens now, if there's any split decisions on pit road or if it's status quo. I'm not exactly sure how many tire sets they have remaining. I think we started with about 6. But it looks like everybody, at least in the front of the field, will stay out.
Yeah, there were 5 extra sets given to these guys, 6 total. And it appears the leaders are not going to be flirting with the idea of coming down pit road. They're going to stay out as most of the backfield will come in. We saw the 6 of Newbraw getting on in, the 54 of Brandon Banks. He's made his way down. It looks like Eric Schaefer has also come in, so he's dropped to 16th. And he was inside the top 10 right before, so rather interesting scenario here for Schaefer. He wants an early stop and might have expected some others to come in, but it's a 6.3 second outing on the pit lane. So it doesn't seem to be a large call, and not one for tires, it appears. And for everyone else at the front, they're going to remain out here at Phoenix. And Francisco, this has been a wild race. I mean, we had the parking lot develop right here on the back straightaway before turn 3 on lap 1. We've had multiple other incidents since. We've had cautions come about in the middle of semi-long green flag runs, and this developing fight for the lead between TJ Bursk and Luke Knupp. What takeaways do you have in this race at lap 130 that might play out further into the next 70 laps of this race?
Well, when we were talking to Luke pre-race, he said he was hoping to come out here and prove that Nashville was not a fluke, and I think he's done that, Kenneth. He's been the dominant driver of this race. He's been in the top 2 positions all night long, and even if he doesn't finish there, he's definitely proven that he has the speed and he has what it takes to be able to come out here, lead laps, and be able to win races, because that's the kind of performance he's had here today. We'll see if he's able to finish it off, but he has certainly lived up to the mark he set on himself.
It's been a tough fight between those two, and we'll see exactly which Titan will win in this battle of the gladiators, it appears, here at Phoenix. Both of them have been awfully fast this evening. Why don't we talk to one of the drivers inside the top 10? Let's bring in the Cheez-It Ford Mustang of Kyle Benson. And Kyle, you've had a very consistent night here from Phoenix. You've avoided most of the trouble. What have you noticed as this race has progressed?
It's tight. It's definitely difficult up here. I don't know if I have anything for these top 4 up here, but we're going to see what we got. I'm just really tight right now and trying to get it reeled back in to get loose. So we're going to find out and see what we can do here.
Hard fight between you, the 12 of Peel, and the 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Should we see that continue over the course of this run, and what changes are you going to try to make to get that car working a little faster?
Just kind of keep my P's and Q's in check. Just understand that we still got a long race to go, so we're going to see what we can do and see if we can save some right front and see if we can get up here and win this thing.
Well, it's a good race so far, Kyle. It's been fun watching you at the front of the field. Best of luck on the restart.
I appreciate it, buddy.
So that is Kyle Benson, driver of the 38. We'll see what battles he can put up to the 12 and the 43. Those three have been going at it all night long. Apart from the battle for the lead, they've had a lot of fireworks this evening. Lap 132 will be our restart point, but TJ Bursk will be in command of the field. We'll see how early he goes. We've seen Luke Canup go as early as turn 3. Bursk does the same, and Luke Canup does not react in time. Green flag back in the air from Phoenix as they chase for turn 1.
And look how spread out the rest of the field is. A great launch by the 94 to get well clear going into turn 1. The 45 will stay into the second spot, so it'll leave the 43 battling Lawson Peel for the spot. As contact there with Lawson Peel. Peel will go up the racetrack. They'll be side by side going into turn 3. The 43 is ahead as they go down towards the corner, but Lawson Peel with the outside should be able to roll out of turn 4.
That 12 almost got a piece of the outside wall coming out of the second corner, but luckily keeps it away from that blue and white safer barrier. That 43 is going to remain on the inside. And Peel, he's at one point a threat to the 45 of Canup for the race win. Now he's trying to settle it for third, and he might have the momentum out of the back. Straight away he does. Lawson Peel to third in turn 3.
And that was a tight call there by the 43 to get up in front of Kyle Benson, but it was an important call. If he doesn't do that, that invites Benson to get to his outside and do the exact same thing that Lawson Peel did to him. So by doing that, he at least doesn't present that opportunity to himself, and he holds off into the 4th spot. But now it's up for the 45 of Luke Canup to try and see if he can get past your race leader and make the pass.
And I wonder here if everybody else is dealing with the same problem that Kyle is. He talked about how tight the car is over the run, and I'd anticipate, Francisco, that most of the field, if not everyone, is feeling the same effects. We've seen so many drivers hit the outside wall and so many fights for position be settled by a driver hitting the outside wall or just losing so much speed off of the corner because they can't rotate. How effective will that be if we get a long green flag run to end this race?
It'll definitely be tight, and naturally it'll just start to tighten up on a long run here, but without a doubt, as this race continues to progress in terms of the time of day and the temperatures, it'll be looser than what it was at the start of the race. So these cars are handling a little bit better now than what they did at the first lap.
So TJ Bursk continues to lead this race, but Luke Canup has remained where he's at. He's going to try to keep that 94 as honest as possible, but a little loose he gets out of turn 2. And the very crisp paint scheme of the 45 is going to look to burn through the 94. And what's going to be the last 64 laps of this race, as they'll all stay single file. No big developments as of the moment. I believe our first real battle is further back in this field, but even then, Francisco, so many drivers are single file. You look here with the 14 of Jeff Noe, the 2 of Cody Kinsey. They might go side by side for 7. They seem to settle it out, and all of the other drivers that are around the top 15, Murray, Parks, Schaefer, Cook, all of them just seem to be hanging around where they're at. No big developments. I guess it shows you just how, I guess, a little scared these drivers are, maybe, Francisco, that we had so many cautions over the course of this race. The last thing they want to do is bin the car with this many laps left.
They're certainly being more respectful. I think that's the word right now, because we saw what the opening lap consisted of, and I don't think they wanted to repeat that. So I think they've calmed down a little bit and tried to see if they can go about these restarts a lot better. And not to mention the amount of damaged cars. That certainly plays a role, because with less cars being at 100%, they'll probably get single file a lot quicker. But here's the 17 of Craig Parks. He's been running in this 13th position for a good bit now. He's running just outside the top 10 for most of the evening. It's been a solid night for the rookie. It's one he's needed. He has not had the opening 2 races he's wanted to, Kenneth, so approaching 60 laps to go. If he's able to finish here, it's definitely a good, solid starting point.
Finished 32nd in Nashville last Wednesday night, and at Auto Club also did not have a race to remember. He was caught up in incidents, and he's going to have his first shot at decent points tonight in Season 6. And Tyler Murray, the 36, the Tornadoes. I mean, man, what a beautiful paint scheme this is. They showed it to us before we even got the season started a couple of months ago. But Parks and Tyler Murray putting on a show in the top 15, looking to stay as clean as possible for the rest of the outing. And you got to say, Murray Reedy Motorsports, Francisco, probably has some of the best paint schemes that we've seen this season. Very creative with all the sponsors, with the Firma Motorsports-esque font. They've been good on the design shop, and Tyler has been at the helm of all of those designs, so credit to him for giving the paints to all of his teammates and to himself, making sure they all look good on the racetrack.
He's certainly been cooking and he's been able to put out some good paint schemes out on the racetrack. He's definitely had a couple there, biasly speaking, but also factually speaking, another good one right there by the 43 and the 45, especially the one he had last week. But Ethan has been able to make some paints for that BBR team, Kenneth, and he has a couple waiting in the wings that have yet to run, but certain ones are there waiting to be ran. And there you see Jaden Porter, who's out there on the racetrack. He's many laps down, involved in that lap 1 incident. He's trying to see if he can gain some valuable points and pass cars who have lost laps in this race. So trying to see if he can get some more points, which will be crucial towards the playoffs. But just to kind of finish that point I was on, Kenneth, Ethan has several paints ready for BBR guys, and they're going to be running them as the season progresses.
And one of the paints that he made was for Jaden Porter. Had a different look through Auto Club and at Nashville. And decided, hey, we need to make you an ally paint scheme. And he told them in the voice chat after the race at the Music City, he said, I will make it this time. You won't have an input. Just let me do the work. Let me control this paint scheme. He pulled out with that. And unfortunately, Jaden Porter hasn't been able to run up front with it based on being involved in that lap 1 incident on the back straightaway. He's 29th, more than 60 laps down here at Phoenix. He's been trying to hold out hope for as long as possible. And one thing that we've noticed over this run, Francisco, look at the gap between first and second, the largest we've seen it in a very long time, if not ever tonight, as we approach 50 laps to go. 0.6 of a second, and what seems to be growing as Luke Canup is struggling quite a bit with his number 45.
He's gotten into the outside wall for turn 4 a couple laps there. You can sometimes see the white smoke pop up. So the 45 losing a little bit of ground, maybe not handling the way he wanted to in the dirty air. And you see right there off of turn 2, almost into the wall there. But the top 5 in general, Kenneth, on this particular run is a lot more spread out than what we've seen it.
But again, much like the rest of this race, they separate themselves from whoever's 6 on back. Austin Reedy is P6 right now, and he's about 1.5 seconds off of his teammate Kyle Benson. So it just shows you how fast the top 5 have been all night long. They've all been competitive, and while yes, they're a little separated now, they have been that quick all race that they've just been able to put themselves in a different category compared to everyone around them. Here's a big battle developing just inside the top 10. Ryan Pandicio holding off a swarm of cars. Christopher Bishop, Eric Schaefer, and CJ Munier back to 12th.
Yeah, and this is in the back end of the top 10, trying to see who can move up into that top 10. Tyler Murray's back there. And Craig Lautenslugger, Kenneth, if you remember, had that internet issue some point near halfway or just before halfway, went 2 laps down. He's back on the lead lap now, and he's running in the 14th spot. So great recovery by the driver of the 13. As you see a car get into the outside wall just ahead, I believe that's Christopher Bishop. And there you see Craig Lautenslugger now trying to see if he can get past the 36 of Tyler Murray and get another spot. A great comeback drive in the making for the 13.
At 13, one of the fastest cars all night long. Had it not been for what happened to him earlier in this race, we could have seen him tussling with the top 5 tonight. He's slowly but surely working his way up through the field. Got to the inside of his teammate in Bishop, now to the 89 of CJ Munier. And they've gotten away from Eric Schaefer, Ryan Pandicio. They were all clustered up for a couple of laps, and they're going to cluster up again. Seems to be a ripple effect happening throughout the field. That 13 will keep an eye on him so far, putting on the laps to remember as the battle for second will heat up. Here comes Lawson Peel creeping up on the Phoenix Suns machine.
Yeah, definitely the 45 is not liking the racetrack right now. Either the tires are wearing in a way he doesn't want it to, or the dirty air, but something is going on with that 45. And he's starting to fall back, losing touch with your leader. And now Lawson Peel trying to see if he can move up into P2 and see if he can take the fight to TJ first. But first, he has to get past this 45.
It's a crucial juncture at this race as well. We're going to catch up to 50 laps to go here at Phoenix. And if this race continues the way it has, we might have a yellow at some point in this run. But there's always the possibility, Francisco, of that long green flag run that'll take you to the end of the race. And if you're TJ Bursk, you are loving your scenario right now as the 45 continues to lose lap time and lose ground. And as this 12 puts on the fight, it's only going to get worse for Canup because he has to play more defense than offense, and it's going to let that 94 get into a groove.
Exactly right about that, Kenneth. And you see him there almost getting to the wall once more. But if this run stays green, Kenneth, at some point, somebody is going to think about maybe making a green flag stop to try and shortcut some of these guys and gain track position, because we still have a pit stop left in this race. The fuel window is about say about 55 or so laps, give or take. And they last pitted about 20 to 25 laps ago. So I think that it's very likely that we could see pit stops here soon enough if we stay under the green flag, and some earlier than others, just trying to see if they can steal track position before a caution comes out.
Here's Eric Schaefer riding on board with a 3, getting a little close there with Ryan Pandicio. This is the fight for 9th. And as Pandicio slides up the racetrack, Eric Schaefer will take that spot. He'll try to get around Cody Kinsey and Jeff No next at 14, building up a phenomenal run as this race is built up. The MTC Esports Ford Mustang making a name of his own with those rookie stripes. You bring up a fantastic point, Francisco, about fuel strategy and even tire strategy as well. What can you do if for these drivers at the top 5, or even if you're the race leader? How different will these strategies be over the course of the event? And will anybody outside the top 10 take a swing at maybe a Brandon Banks type strategy where they're saving fuel and they're staying out as long as possible? It's happened before here in Phoenix. It happened the last time we were here. There's no surprise if it happens all over again. We'll keep an eye on this fight for second as the field approaches some lap traffic ahead. TJ Bursk is going to approach what appears to be only one car right in front, and that's Brandon Gillis in the 9 running 22nd.
I don't think that kind of same strategy will work here today, Kenneth. We have a lot more laps left in the race in terms of from when they last pitted for it to even be attempted. So you could do it if you ran maybe 30 miles an hour and get excellent fuel economy like you would a street car, but that won't win you the race. So I think pit stop is still definitely necessary. Looks like Gillis will move down the racetrack and see if he can give him the spot. No, he'll actually just go up on the dog leg, let the leader go right there. But certainly a pit stop left. And I think if you're outside this top 5, you have to do something. This top 5 has been the same top 5 all night long. You have to do something different, because if you don't, then you're just going to end up 6th, 7th, or whatever. And if you're fine with that, then okay. But if your plan is to try and go for the win, you certainly have to make something happen. And the way to do that is to hit pit road, use those fresh tires to make up the ground now.
And then you ask the question, Francisco, what's the threshold? Whether you do an under or overcut. If you stay out longer than the race leader does, how long are you staying out before it becomes too late? And then if you undercut, how early do you have to go before the leader will catch back up to you, especially now that the gap has ballooned to 1.7 seconds. You have to play with what you've got. You got to lie in your bed when you make it. And if you're Luke Canup, Lawson Peel, Moreno, Kyle Benson, even guys like Austin Reedy, you have to keep that in mind. How early or how late will you pit in relative to the race leader? We're going to have 40 laps left. In around 2 or so laps, Lawson Peel has been fighting this race car, Francisco, most notably in turn 3. He's still right behind the 45 of Luke Canup, but he has been all over that race car. Look at him, fighting the wheel in turn 3.
Both of them have kind of lost the grip on that race car, and it's allowing Ethan to close in on those two. And you see him sliding the car off of turn 4. They've gotten into the wall a couple of times. They don't have a lot of damage, but that will slowly start to creep in. We saw the 94 have to take some damage repair. Look at him sliding up towards the wall, trying to see if he could use some of that grip to power him down the back straightaway. But they've been in on pit road, repairing some damage from hitting the wall. It won't be a lot, but it will add up, and it'll start to show in times like these. When you get into these long runs, you'll start wearing your tires just that little bit more. And now the 94 has a 2-second lead, and Ethan is now caught back up to Lawson Peel to see if he can challenge for the 3rd spot.
Open invitation to Moreno. He'll try to get to the outside here of Peel, who washed up way high in turns 1 and 2, and Peel's going to come in. So he thought that his tires were not going to last that much longer. Car number 12 is in, locks the brakes quite a bit, but will make pit road speed limit. And so this answers the question, at least a little bit, Francisco. How early are you going to pit relative to the leader? Lawson Peel says, I'm coming in first.
40 laps to go is going to be the mark, so we'll see if anybody else follows this next lap. As of right now, only one other car joined him. 2 other cars. There you see the 36 of Austin Reedy, or Tyler Murray, excuse me, and there's the 89 of CJ Munier. So let's see if any of your front runners have brought it down pit road on this particular lap. Doesn't look like the 94 has done so, but here's most of the field, the 45, the 43, the 38. This is all to cover up the 12 of Lawson Peel. The fortunate thing for TJ Bursk is that he had that big lead, so he can wait if he wants to. The question is, how many laps will he wait?
There are a lot of drivers coming in. There's Eric Schaefer, Christopher Bishop, Michael Newbraw, and the 18 of Richard Rico. Now here comes the race leader. TJ Burst is going to come in all by his lonesome. Lap 162, 38 laps remaining, and it's a long way back to the exit line. He's got a deep pit stall. Austin Reedy, Jeff No, Ryan Pandicio are going to be the drivers to stay out. And we'll see just how far it is for Luke Knupp and company. They're going to come out right now. And they're going to battle for position.
And he gets
And
loose on the
Moreno's
pit
going to make
exit.
this pass.
Exactly. He spun the tires trying to exit pit road, and that allows his teammate to get past. And now he's under fire from Tyler Murray, but they'll catch up to Craig Lounslugger. That'll cut the 45 a break for now. So a big loss there to his teammate in terms of track position. There you see the 18 now exiting pit road. He'll merge out there. And there you see that's TJ Bursk, who is the net race leader. There's Lawson Peel right there. So, and
Caution
the caution
flag
comes
is
out.
out from Phoenix Raceway. In a pivotal moment, Craig Lounslugger spins at the exit of turn 4. That's the front straightaway.
And a crucial point here, Kenneth. The 43 was on the lead lap. The 12 was on the lead lap. The 45 was the first car 1 lap down. A huge break.
And Kyle Benson also a lap down too. So another driver inside the top 5 who will have to either get their laps back. What happened here at the exit of turn 4? This did not begin with the 13. It was Luke Knupp who went sideways.
Oh,
and a
wow.
big crash for Kyle Benson.
Looks like most of them were able to scathe away, but the 13 was the one who could, and it looks like the 38 actually with the worst of it. He towed. It looks like he towed.
This is getting through Pandicio, who stayed out. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and the 45 just loses it. And so does the 38.
Yeah,
oh,
it looks like they
Pandicio,
both got
nowhere he
loose.
could go.
And right about that, Kenneth. Both cars stepped out. We mentioned that this track was trending loose, that the sun was starting to set. And that's exactly what happened to both of these guys. They're on cold tires, brand new tires, and it just gets away from them unexpectedly. And there you see on board, the 45 gets loose, then the 38 gets loose and overcorrects it. And hard damage to the outside wall. Fortunately for Luke Knupp, he's able to not get a lot of damage on that race car. So I think he still might be a lap down since he was involved in that incident, Kenneth. But at least he can battle for the free pass position at the very minimum. But if you're Lawson Peel, if you're TJ Bursk, if you're Ethan Fonseca, you're still on the lead lap. So this works out great for you. You can stay out, keep the track position, as everybody else will eventually have to come down pit road.
Craig Lounslugger is in. That will hand the lead to Austin Reedy, which is huge because Austin Reedy has been fighting all race long to get a decent position in points. And this caution comes at the opportunistic time where he stays out. He comes down pit road. The caution is out. And he's able to stay out front with fresh Goodyear Eagles. And what's going to be around a 30-lap sprint to the finish. We'll keep an eye on whether that 34 will come in this time by, but he will not. And man, this changes everything.
It's certainly going to shake up that order, and I think this 36 is definitely on, or the 38 or 34 is on old tires here, because Bursk was the first one to have come down pit road to exit. And it was a close call too, Kenneth, because Lawson Peel was on his way to pass the 94, and that caution came out at the right time once again for TJ Bursk to maintain position. So that could determine the order for the restart, and that could determine who wins this race.
So with Luke Knupp not in this picture anymore, the door is blown wide open for anyone to challenge TJ Bursk. But now this race is going to be in the hands of Austin Reedy for the first time tonight. We have mentioned countless times throughout the first 2 races how Reedy has not been able to find a break in Season 6. And they'll reignite the caution flag, so they'll try to get everybody sorted. I think that caution just came out a little quickly right before we get this restart. They're going to try to get everybody settled once more at the back of the field. A lot of them did come down pit road to get damage repair, and you see how much of the field is there. It could have been there for the restart. We still need many drivers left. But this race has turned on its head, Francisco, and this is going to be pivotal for TJ Bursk, because either he takes advantage of this moment, now that the 45 is not here, and checks away from the field, or he struggles against Austin Reedy and all the drivers who are desperate to get a win this season in race number 3.
We'll see what kind of launch the 34 can get, and if he can get clear into turns 1 and 2. That'll matter a lot. And there you see the 45 back out on the racetrack. Didn't really have much damage, but I think he is a lap down. So he's going to need a quick caution and to get the free pass to get back on the lead lap and try and see if he can mount a charge back to the front. It'll be hard for him to be able to do so from this position, so we'll have to see. But the kind of restart that Austin Reedy is able to get is going to play a huge role in who gets out in front, because if the 34 gets a good enough launch, that invites Lawson Peel to follow through and try and battle for second before he can challenge the race leader. But don't look away. You still have the 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno, the 54 of Brandon Banks, and the 4 of Trevor Haley finds himself in the 4th spot.
Austin Reedy hasn't won a 4-wide racing event since Atlanta, race 10 in season 5. He's going to get the early jump here on the restart lap 169, and Lawson Peel moves to the inside of TJ for second.
They'll be side by side for the second spot. This is going to be for who attacks the 34 first. Lawson Peel slides up. They'll be side by side off of turn 2.
94 is going to pressure him. He'll have the momentum going to the back straightaway. He'll clear, and he's got the pass complete. Now the next objective, car number 34, Brandon Banks, beneath this group, has stepped into the top 5. He's in a fight with Jeff No, who's going to go sideways at the exit of turn 4. And will he bring the caution out? Yes, he will. And a hard hit to the inside wall.
You see the front end damage on the 14, and he's going to tow it. You saw it kind of happen there on the camera, Kenneth. It looks like the car stepped away from him on the restart. Just kind of trying to put the power down and just not enough grip in those rear tires. And it goes back to what we were talking about, Kenneth. This track has trended loose in the last 50 or so laps compared to the start of the race. It's trended loose, and there you see a hard hit to the inside wall. The car whips around, and unfortunately for him, he gets some engine damage. You saw the smoke come out there, and it will result in a DNF for the driver of the 14, who had a solid race going, but a loose racetrack is what's presented with us, Kenneth, here as the sun starts to set.
That's a heartbreaker for Jeff No, who was running as high as 7th in this race and had a top 10 run brewing. The rookie driver, unfortunately, gets into that incident, and it looks like he will be out. Ryan Pandicio in the 63, he's coming in, and after the hard hit that he endured on the most recent caution with Kyle Benson and Luke Knupp, he'll come in for some extra repairs. His race has also gone south, and being the innocent bystander in it all, as we are under 30 laps away from deciding a winner here from Avondale, Arizona. More to come here from Phoenix Raceway. Austin Reedy in the race lead. More coverage of the 4-wide racing TJ Team Series coming up next. live from the Phoenix Raceway, ready for a restart with around 25 laps left to go. Had a crash with Jeff No to bring out the most recent caution flag, and it is Austin Reedy still in command of this race as the pace car will come down to pit road. TJ Bursk will be on the outside. He's been one of the quickest cars all night long, and it's an anxious wait to the start-finish line. The 34 will have discretion. We've seen many times the leader go as early as the entrance of turn 3. But it's all on the 34 to decide when he wants to bring this field to Fong Song. He'll take it out of turn 4. Green flag in the air with 25 laps left to go from Phoenix.
And Bursk is able to take away the second spot, but Lawson Peel will be right on the back bumper, trying to pressure him into a mistake to see if he can take that spot. Ethan will settle into 4th, and it's a battle with Brandon Banks down for 5th.
Be side by side. That is Trevor Haley, the rookie driver. He did not have a front clip earlier in this race. He was caught up in that lap 1 skirmish entering turn 3. Now the rookie has a chance to enter the top 5. He holds his own against the multi-time championship 5 appearance driver. And they'll remain side by side. Now Bursk looks for the lead, and he's got it.
And TJ Bursk has gotten back out front as it looks like something had to have happened to the Austin Reedy machine, because he now finds himself down in 4th. We'll get a second look at it as we were watching Trevor Haley move up into the top 5. And it looks like going into turn 3, looks like he might get loose here in turns 3 and 4. And exactly that, loose off of turn 4. And what a save.
A big save for Austin Reedy. He's going to keep him in this race. Cars around. Craig Parks and company in the back of the field. Richard Rico involved as well.
And you see the damage on the 17, which, as we're under the yellow flag once more, a couple other cars are still sitting in the entrance to turn 1 with damage. We'll get a look at what happened there, as we had just seen the replay on what happened to Austin Reedy. So we're back under the replay here to see what happened. And there you see this battle for position. It looks like a miscommunication there, Kenneth, and I'm surprised we don't see more incidents like this. I think the 17 thought that the 36 would be lower on the racetrack, kind of cutting the dog leg a little bit, but the 36 did not cut the dog leg, and that's what resulted in contact, sending the 17 around.
So here's a look on board with Parks. You're right, they're probably expected Murray to be a little lower on the racetrack, and then Richard Rico in the 18 just gets involved. He gets the hardest hit out of this one to the inside safer barrier. And a part of the track we have not seen many incidents arise from, Francisco. We saw this race turn from exit turn 2 being the trouble spot to then exit turn 4. And now it appears the dogleg has made an appearance as one of the trouble spots. The 17 of Parks, who was building up a good race up until this point, will have to hit pit road. And the rookie has not been able to find a break. Some poor outings at Auto Club and at Nashville to start the year. And he's going to head down pit road as TJ Bursk grasps the control of the race. And Francisco, it was that slight mistake out of Austin Reedy that put him back to 5th, or rather 4th place on the racetrack. That was easily more than enough for the 94 to take back the lead, which is dangerous for everyone else. It means they might have to get a little more aggressive as we come to 20 laps to go.
It means it'll have the 12 and the 43 battling for position on the restart, most likely. And now TJ Bursk, who's been the fastest car in the second portion of this race, will be up in the front. And it'll be hard to beat him on a restart inside of 20 to go. He'll get the launch down, that's for sure. But good luck trying to make a pass at this point in the race. You might have to get physical with him if you want to try and make a move. But we'll see with the laps closing in and the winding down. We'll see what happens. And we'll get a word in here with Craig Parks soon. But shout out to Craig Parks. I noticed that the sponsorship on the rear deck lid is Munchies. Those are some underrated chips.
They are. He's got I believe at first it was bait and tackle what I thought it was on the car, but it's definitely not. I was 100% wrong. But I love, number one, the 17 on the race car. I mean, I'm a personal fan of that number. It's my favorite number. And the actual blue gradient on it, definitely love the colors. When the numbers were submitted, that's one of the first that I noticed. And it looks like Parks is going to rejoin the racetrack here with damage on the rear end. We'll have a chance to talk with Craig Parks here in a moment. Craig, first of all, welcome to the KBueno broadcast booth. Unfortunate incident there on the dogleg. Just walk us through what happened there.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure if I got into Tyler or Tyler got into me. I think it was just a racing incident.
Well, unfortunately gave you a bit of damage, but you were working on a pretty good race here tonight from Phoenix. I know the first 2 races of the year hasn't gone your way, but what have you learned so far as you've gained experience in this series, and how much momentum can you swing to your side as you continue to learn?
A lot of it's just been learning to be patient. I'm a road racer usually, so I'm kind of transitioning over to oval, and just being patient and picking your own battles. Don't be too aggressive with it.
Well, Craig, we know we're about to get the restart going, so we'll let you get your head down and get focused for the green flag with 20 laps to go. We certainly appreciate the time. It's been fun watching you out on the racetrack, and hopefully you can get a good finish tonight.
Hey, I appreciate the broadcast, guys. I really love it. Thank you so much.
So that is Craig Parks, driver of the 17. The Michigan driver will be restarting in 15th, so still an ability to get some good points out of this race. After all, restart will have TJ Bursk and Lawson Peel manning the front row. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, Austin Reedy behind them in second. And then Trevor Haley, Brandon Banks in the third row. Green flag from turn 3, 19 laps to go, and TJ bursts out in front for the first corner.
A surprise launch there, an extremely early launch from the 94, caught everybody off guard. He has a huge lead back to turn 1. Lawson Peel's doing away with the 43 of Ethan Fonseca as a caution waves once again. Looks like a crash in the back. Christopher Bishop, the one involved this time as he spins it back in the regular direction.
The Cowtails 42 in trouble. It looks like that is engine damage. Yeah, the smoke coming out of the rear end. So one of the many, Francisco, that we've seen face engine issues tonight. He's going to immediately take that car to pit road for obvious reasons. Hopefully he can continue his race tonight from Phoenix, and we'll take a look at what happened. This might have begun around Tony Kivitt as Tyler Murray went around. Separate incident, but the 42 is going to stack up right there with the 76, gets into him, and taps the inside wall, but that is more than enough to give him engine damage with 18 to go.
You know, Kenneth, what that looks to me is I think the caution came out for the Austin Reedy or the Tyler Murray incident. I think that was what the caution was out for, and as they were checking up, Bishop gets turned around.
Yeah, so Murray goes for a rather harmless spin on the apron. And then right in front is when the carnage ensues between
Yes, because
Tony
look, the
Kivitt.
yellow's out already.
Yeah, the pace car's out, so this is a mistake after the caution waved. We'll take a ride on board with the 76 and get more details as to what happened. We'll see if he slows down as the 42 gets up to him. Yeah, he does.
Yes, you saw the yellow cactus in the background just before the contact.
Also, the caution comes out as Kivitt was trying to react. The 42 was coming in a bit hot. And gets into Kivitt, who is speeding down pit road. He is going about 120 miles an hour. And he will make it to his pit stall. Barely. Well, he just violated at least 4 or 5 rules there on the rule book. I guess he doesn't care all too much.
Yeah, he probably gave up on it soon, but yeah, just not exactly what you want to have happen there. Of course, you hear the cautions out, you're trying to check up, especially in that part of the racetrack, because most likely everybody has to let the pace car go. But when you're that close together, sometimes certain people will check up quicker or earlier than others, and that's where you can find yourself in that fair bit of trouble. So unfortunate break for those two, as the caution was not for them, it was for the spinning 36 car, which puts us under the caution flag once again. A great launch by the 94, erased like it didn't exist, because now he has Lawson Peel and Ethan Fonseca behind him once again. And with this race closing in, Kenneth, now I'm craving those munchies. I really need some right now to get through this closing laps.
I mean, we've had a lot of cautions, so I mean, it's probably fair to have a little snack in between. We've had a couple commercial breaks. You've had some opportunities. Come on now.
I know, but I don't have any on my hand right now. I just have some loaves of bread in the back and some ham and cheese.
That's all you have? Maybe, I mean, you can make a sandwich.
I could, but I need to see what happens next.
That's true. That's true. I mean, you could also get a bottle of water as well. It's been pretty hot here at Phoenix, although the temperature has cooled down. We'll take a look at the weather. Yeah, track temp at around 80 degrees, so not bad whatsoever from the 101 degrees it was when we dropped the green flag tonight. Temperatures at a nice 69 degrees. Winds remain at the northeast at around 2 miles an hour. Still partly cloudy conditions, but the sun is setting, so that's good news grip-wise for the drivers. But terms of the intensity, that has not really calmed down whatsoever, and it's going to continue to ramp up. We'll have a restart with 14 to go. Pace car will come down right about here. Entrance of pit road. TJ Bursk, the leader. Lawson Peel second. Austin Reedy and Ethan Fonseca Moreno third and fourth. Trevor Haley to round out the top 5. And then Eric Schaefer, Brandon Banks, Michael Newbraw, Craig Lautenslager, and CJ Munier rounds out the top 10. A bunch of DBR representation to try and get some solid points here tonight. 14 to go at the stripe. And it's an early jump once again from Bursk, back under green from Phoenix.
What makes timing that restart so hard, Kenneth, is that if you expect him to go early and he doesn't, you're running into the back of him, and that could cost you obviously your race car, but that could also just be a penalty for yourself for jumping the start. But that allows the 43 to look to the inside of Lawson Peel. That's going to be the battle for second. Peel wins out.
Peel's going to stay there in second. Now here comes Reedy, challenge for third. He'll dive deep into 3 and 4 on the 43, but to no avail. Might have a checkup on the 3 of Eric Schaefer. They might go side by side before they enter back to turn 1. With this race all in the hands of TJ Bursk, it'll be 12 laps to go next time by.
And he's looking for double redemption after the last 2 races. Was the dominant car at Auto Club before the pit penalty and eventual internet connection issues. And then last week at Nashville,
car around,
crash
front
in the
straightaway, or back straightaway rather. And that's that's not Christopher Bishop, it's another driver involved in it. Might have been Tony Kivitt in the 76.
Another incident for the driver of the 76. I know I saw a car stopped around the inside of the track. I'm not sure how he got there.
That's Travis Anderson, car 24. My apologies
and
there.
That's his second incident of the evening. If you remember, he was involved in that lap 1 crash, I believe, or one of the early cautions in this race. So it looks like right there, just kind of gets loose on his own, it seems. Kenneth, off of turn 2, the back end just steps out. It's a slow spin. Doesn't really fully come around until he hits the wall. For a brief second there, loses the front bumper before it magically reconnects, but not the kind of end of the race that the 24 was looking forward to having. Gets that damage to his race car, loses the track position, so he's going to have to work for all that once again. And the 45 of Luke Knupp, Kenneth, has found his way back on the lead lap, trying to salvage a decent result. He's worked his way up into almost into the top 10, I believe, as he's running in the 11th spot. And actually, no, he is now in the 10th spot. And Craig Lautenslager has also moved his way back into the 10th spot. So great recovery drives for both of those who were at 2 laps down at some point in this race.
And just as Travis Anderson was going around at the exit of turn 2, I was about to turn over to Luke Knupp and Craig Lautenslager. They were both in that battle, just on the inside of the top 10.
And I think they have newer tires.
Yeah, they do. Him and Lautenslager, at least 10 to 20 laps, the range on tire wear. Everybody else at around 27 to 30 laps. So yeah, they do have fresh rubber, and they are using it to their advantage. Not sure if they have enough time, Francisco, to break to the front, but certainly enough to rebound in this race.
Of course, those tires will come in handy, and if they get any overtime restarts, it could help with them getting a potential top 3 or 5 finish, but certainly being where they are now, they want some green flag laps under their belt. That way they can put those fresh tires up into use. If not, it'll eventually cycle and get a little bit evened out. It won't truly even out, but it will give them less of an advantage than what they currently have. So they want to see this go green flag with to the end of the race. And of course, you see the lights still on the pace car. That means we'll probably go green with 8 laps to go in this race. So TJ Bursk has gone very early on this restart. If you're Lawson Peel, if you're Ethan Fonseca, how risky do you get with trying to time the restart to go with the 94?
You're going to have to get a little desperate, right, if you want the race win. And it may not be the case for Lawson Peel because he already has one. He won at Auto Club. Any wins would help, but he probably wouldn't be that insane to go for that win. At least not crazy enough to dive it in and probably do something wild. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, though, he's looking for his first career 4-wide win, so he'll probably do anything that he can in order to take that checkered flag away. But you really have to time it early, and it's going to be a risk, but it might be a risk worth taking. If you can grab that jump on the 94 or at least get alongside him by the time you enter the dog leg in turn 1, that's probably the money position. And walk back to one of the restarts that Luke Knupp went early in turn 3, and as soon as TJ Bursk took that risk, He got on the gas pedal at around the same time. He was side by side with him and took the lead by the time they got into the corner. So for the 12 and the 43, got favorable positions on your hands, but it's all about the reaction time. So far, Bursk has been able to beat them to the starting line, and they have this chance with 8 laps to go in order to change the script. For Lawson Peel, it will be his 25th career 4-wide racing win and his second this season. For Moreno, it would be his first career W. For Reedy, it would be his first since Atlanta in Season 5. And for Bursk, it would be one for the ages. His first win in a long time, 13th on the all-time wins list in 4-wide history. 8 laps to go. Peel tries his best, but is not close enough. Green flag in the air.
And he gets clear for the second spot as he's trying to hold off Ethan. And there you see the 36 or the 34 of Austin Reedy trying to make a move on the outside as well. And there's the 3 of Eric Schaefer, who's reappeared in the top 5.
He's going to get to the inside of Austin Reedy. He's got 2 straight podiums on his tally. So he'll try and get back to the inside. And he makes the move happen. That's a pass for 4th. Lawson Peel is the closest he has ever been to this 94. 7 laps to go from Avondale, Arizona.
When does he take it? He had a chance to battle the 45 last week. Does he learn something from that Nashville race and apply it here, Kenneth? Because he's right on the back bumper of your leader. He can't let him get away if he wants to win.
That was a poor corner, though. Out of turn 2, he slid up right in the middle of the corner and got right to the back bumper of TJ Bursk. But one thing that does happen when you get that close to the rear bumper of a car in front is the aero wash. That car is going to start to push up the racetrack more and more. It's a little harder to put in that gas pedal and to exit the corner efficiently. There's Travis Anderson. Lap car is going to let the leaders by. It'll be 5 laps to go, and the time is dwindling for Lawson Peel.
And Luke Knupp has worked his way up into 6th. He's right behind Austin Reedy for the top 5 spot.
There's some cars shuffling in the background as they tried getting around Travis Anderson, who stayed near to the outside wall. 5 laps to go from Phoenix, and the pressure is mounting. TJ Bursk off the cusp of 2 races that could have gone his way, but did not. Facing one of the best drivers in 4-wide history, who finished 2nd last week and is not going to have no for an answer, this time by 4 to go.
And there you see a deep dive down to the bottom, but it kind of works out for him there. He's able to gain some time. He has to try something different in 1 and 2, Kenneth. He can't run the same line as the 94. Try something different to gain time, because if you follow him, you're not going to really do much.
And the 12 is going to swing high in 1 and 2. He wants that arc to the yellow line out of the corner, but so far it is not proving to be successful. He flirts with that outside wall near the back straightaway. It'll be 3 laps to go and 3 more miles here in the Arizona desert. TJ Bursk off the cusp of 2 races will have a chance at his 7th career 4-wide win. And Ethan Fonseca Moreno not too far either.
And will we see the 12 get really desperate here in the
Look at Luke
closing
Knupp
laps?
inside on Austin Reedy for 5th.
And that's for a top 5 spot. It would be a great recovery for the driver of the 45 if he's able to make this pass. There you see the dive down to turn 3, and he'll take that spot away from the 34. But as we get to 2 laps to go, Lawson Peel sliding. Kenneth, does he have any chance of making a kamikaze dive?
He might not have enough time to get to the back bumper of the 94. And Ethan Fonseca Moreno is going to give him the fight of his life for 2nd. This 94 car is going to stay out front, the largest gap we've seen on this run. Half a second, entering turn 3 as we head for the white flag. The 94 of TJ Bursk with 1 more mile left at Phoenix. And Lawson Peel appears to be too far to reach this back bumper of the 94 in 2 races, where he's found himself in a position to run up front all night long and win some races, and having problems throughout to take him out of contention halfway through. This time around, it is 100% redemption for the 94. Out of the 4th corner, TJ Bursk is a 4-wide winner from Phoenix.
And contact for that 4th position. It looks like the 3 of Schaefer holds on. Luke Knupp will end up with that top 5. But TJ Bursk, Kenneth, finally, the 3rd time of asking, will pick up a checkered flag in Season 6.
It's his 7th career 4-wide racing series win, and his first in a very long time. And there was a lot of hype around Burska's car. And as a driver, after winning the duels at Auto Club, holding the top spot for the race to begin the season, unfortunately was taken out midway for connectivity issues. And then in the second race in Nashville, just a struggle after not taking tires on pit road. Those memories are long forgotten. It's victory lane for TJ Bursk.
And a much-deserved victory for the 94. Look at all that rubber on the race car as he celebrates in this Arizona sunset, Kenneth. It was a long one here tonight. 2+ hours of racing here, 200 laps. It was not easy out there. And with the track changing so much, we're going to get a word with these guys afterwards and hear what they have to say after 200 laps of action here. But how about it, man, for TJ Bursk? Came so close to winning, and now he gets the opportunity to go into Paul Setup Shop's victory lane, and he can actually drive onto it this time.
Well, it looks like he towed before he can get to victory lane, so 94 won't necessarily make that trek down there, but he's going to be in Paul Setup Shop victory lane nonetheless. A huge win for TJ Bursk. We'll take a look at the full unofficial results here from Phoenix Raceway, and what a race it was. Lawson Peel for the second straight week is just short of another race win. He finishes 0.6 of a second behind the 94. Ethan Fonseca Moreno picks up after bad luck in the first two races. He gets his first podium of the season. Eric Schaefer just misses out on his third place finish, but regardless still comes home in fourth and most likely will take the points lead away or will still be in range of Lawson Peel for that first spot in the standings. Luke Knupp rebounds from a spin near the end of the race to capture a top 5 on fresh tires. Austin Reedy with the first good finish for him all season long after struggles in races 1 and 2. He comes home in that position. 7th will go to Michael Newbraw, who found himself in some troubles earlier on tonight but found a way to rebound. Same deal for Craig Lounslager, who went as far as 2 laps down in this race, recovers to an 8th place finish. Brandon Banks is 9th, and Tyler Murray in the 36th, creating one of the recent cautions to end this race, rounds out the top 10.
In the 11th spot is Cody Kinsey in that 2 machine. Trevor Haley with a good result here tonight finishes in the 12th spot with Timothy Cook, another good one for him. CJ Munier will finish in the 14th spot. Ryan Pandiccio, after running in the top 15, will get a top 15. Craig Parks able to recover for the 16th position with Tony Kivet up in the 17th spot. Richard Rico will finish in the 18th spot in that number 18 in his debut. Joe Sanchez will finish in the 19th spot, and Eric Stewart, being involved in one of those early incidents, will manage to finish in the 20th spot.
21st goes to Christopher Bishop in the number 42 machine, 19 laps down. Jeff Noe, the rookie, had such a great run going up until that spin out of turn 4 leaves him 22nd tonight. Brandon Gillis is 37 laps down in 23rd. 24th will go to Kyle Benson, who ran in the top 5 for basically the entire race until that crash with Luke Knupp took him out of contention. Travis Anderson with a struggle tonight, 48 laps down in 25th. Scott Healy in his first start this season, he is 26th at the checkered flag. Jaden Porter tried to recover, and he did quite a bit to a 27th place outing. Lance Hill was 28th. Jason Hastings is 29th. And rounding out the top 30, rookie driver for BBR, Mikey Neal.
31st will be the 53 of Kevin D'Elia with David Brackett in the 32nd spot. Ryan Steenbachers will finish in 33rd. Rookie Patrick Thompson in the 34th spot. Tyler Warner in 35th. Curtis Kelly will be in 36th. Colin Forrester in the 37th spot. Adam Alisher will be in 38th. The 39th spot goes to AJ Green. Not a good night for Stocks Motorsports at all. Wyatt Brackett will finish in the 40th position, and 41st rounding out your field is the 00 of Jesse Prees.
So that'll do it. The 41 car field, the bulk of them taken out on lap 1, but the spotlight shines on one driver only, and that is the 94 of TJ Bursk, who grabs his first win of season 6 in this 4-wide racing TJ's Team Series. And TJ, as you walk into Paul Setup Shop victory lane, I have to imagine that there's a sense of relief around you. In the first 2 races, you had such a fast car, such a great run building up in both Auto Club and Nashville. You find problems in each of those races, and you're not in contention for the win. Tonight, it was very different. How relieved are you to finally stay ahead, complete a full race, and be able to grab your first win of the year?
I feel pretty satisfied. You know, I haven't been able to put together a complete race, which is it's on me. And I thought this race was about to go the same way. You know, I got caught up in that lap one pileup, but you know, we got the damage repaired and we got rolling. And you know, this is one of my better tracks, so I knew coming in here this was a chance to get a win. So that's what we did.
And talk about the fight there with Luke Knupp, who dominated the first half of the race, but then at some point you were able to put the fight to him. What was that fight like behind the wheel for you, and what kind of things were you keeping in mind mentally as you worked around him?
I think the first run against him, I just didn't save my tires that well, so I tried to back it off. And I knew, like, kind of midway through the race, there was tons of laps left, so I wasn't trying to run too hard. And then once the opportunity presented itself, I just went in and made the pass. And you know, it's pretty tough with the dirty air. So you know, once I got out in front, I was able to, you know, keep the lead and work from there.
So you find yourself with your first 4-wide racing win in a while. You move to 7 all-time wins in 4-wide history. What does it mean to you to come back in this series lights out, winning the duels, and then to finally get this win and put yourself back on the map for this season of 4-wide action?
It's definitely nice. But I think I want to keep it going. So you know, we're gonna try to keep coming out here, and the goal is to run top 5 every race. You know, I feel like if you run within the top 5 every race, you're gonna run into some wins. So you know, I want to go for the championship and not just be a one-hit wonder or whatever. You know, so that's what I'm gonna try to do.
Well, we know that fight will never go away, especially with what we've seen over the last 3 races and culminating into tonight's win. TJ, before we let you go and continue to celebrate here at Phoenix, Arizona, anybody you just want to give a shout out to or thank for tonight's performance?
Yeah, shout out to the man above. God bless everyone watching and everyone racing. You know, 4-wide's a great league. Fun to race with everyone. And shout out to you guys and shout out to Teamer. But other than that, appreciate everyone, and that's all from me.
Well, we certainly appreciate the time, TJ. I want to say a warm congratulations from all of us at the broadcast team. Go enjoy it. You've earned it. And have a good week. We'll see you at Las Vegas next Wednesday. Congratulations again. So that is TJ Bursk, driver of the number 94, who gets his first win in a while and is the 3rd different winner over the last 3 races. But Francisco, for the 2nd week in a row, Lawson Peel is right behind the race winner.
Well, Lawson, for the 2nd week in a row, it's going to be just 1 spot short of the race win. What more do you think you needed to be able to get up to the 94?
I don't know. I feel like he was probably a little better than me for most of the evening. I had a shot to get in front of him there in that green flag pit cycle. The caution came out when I was maybe like 5 or 10 car lengths behind him at speed. I was about to pass him, and the caution came out and it froze him right in front of me. So I would have at least had a shot to be in front of him and, you know, try to keep him behind me. He would have had 2-lap fresher tires, which, you know, really hurt me on those last restarts with his tires being 2-lap fresher. It's just really not much I could do. But I don't really know if that would have changed anything. Just pretty happy to have run where I did there. That's kind of just what I wanted to do, just come in and have a solid night. I knew I wasn't going to be quite as good as those guys. This track's just tough, and yeah, it's not much grip around here. A lot of understeer, and I just felt like I was just turning the wheel and nothing was happening. So, but it was fun. It's certainly more fun to drive this car here than the A car. The A car on this track is just not very good right now. So this was a lot more fun.
And what was the difference in the track between the start of the race and the end of the race? We saw a lot of cars tight early on, and then it trended loose. So what was it like for you?
Yeah, I was tight. I was really tight for the majority of the race. There was sometimes I was getting loose off, but the tight was certainly my bigger issue. I feel like it got tighter as the race went on too. So I normally like it a little snug, but not that kind of tight where I just kind of turning the wheel and just feel like nothing's happening. You're just sliding. So trying to figure that out. And, you know, we had a lot of cautions and wrecks and restarts. So that was kind of frustrating, but yeah, I can't complain. You know, I feel like second was higher than I should have finished. I felt like I was more closer to like a 5th place car.
You did have a top 5 car, and you did run in the top 5, and you would end up getting one. So Of course, another solid result, Lawson. We'll give you the floor to give the shout out to everyone that helps make this possible week in and week out for you.
Yeah, thanks to you guys as always for doing the broadcast, and Tyler Murray for putting up with us. I know it wasn't the most fun night for him, but we really appreciate him, everything he does. Thanks to all my DBR teammates, Paul's Setup Shop. Thanks to Joe Sanchez for doing my paint scheme for me, and everybody that made it a good race tonight. I had a lot of fun racing with those guys, so just really looking forward to battling with those guys more the rest of the season. I think it's going to
We
be
appreciate you taking the time
really
with us,
fun.
Lawson, and
Yep, sounds good.
That's Lawson.
we appreciate you.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all can hear me. I've been having Discord problems,
Yeah,
but
we can hear you. I'm sure, Francisco. I think there might have been some issues there, but Lawson, on behalf of our
it's
broadcast
on my
team,
end.
well, we certainly appreciate the time. Certainly appreciate all everything you put on track for us. And I know it's a second place finish, but you'll have the points lead intact, so should be some good news heading over to Las Vegas next week.
Appreciate it, guys. See you later.
That's Lawson Peel. Second straight week, he is P2 behind the race winner. Consistency is always key, especially in a points format like this. So the 12 car will have a lot of momentum regardless going into Las Vegas. Let's talk to the driver who finishes just inside the podium. And Ethan, it's your first podium of the season. So welcome to the broadcast booth for podium interviews. But first, want to talk about the lap 1 incident. It was an absolute parking lot, and don't think anyone could ever escape that crash when you're in the middle of it. Give us your entire experience there on lap 1 and what you were feeling around that time.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just get straight to it. So, if I remember, I think there is a car to my inside. I can't remember if it was like a Cheez-It car or one of those guys, but somebody was to my inside, a little running a bit high up into the corner, maybe like in the middle lane, and so I was thinking maybe there was somebody to his inside, maybe going 3 wide. So I opened up the wheel a bit to give space, and I guess it happened at the wrong time, and I got tight on the exit and hit the wall and bounced off. And when I bounced off, I was still turning left, so that was a big mistake on my end. And this took out half the field. I didn't think it'd be a big crash like that, but that's just unfortunate. I didn't want that to happen at all, but I apologize to those guys, especially AJ. He did not deserve that at all. I was trying to just get clear of those guys and make it clean off of turn 2, but yeah, that's all I remember.
Unfortunately, those circumstances ended up giving you some damage there at that juncture of the race, but slowly but surely you were able to rebound, and it felt like you really picked up the pace over the second half of the event. What did you feel changed in that first half of the race versus the second, where you were going at it basically all night long with the top 5 and then chasing the top 2 at the end of tonight's event?
Yeah, early in the race, I didn't really like get a run with anybody, especially during practice. So I didn't know how much I could push and what lines to run pretty much. Even at the end, I still didn't know what they were doing. TJ had this thing figured out. Yeah, after that first run, I kind of figured out with my teammate that we could push quite a bit, which was kind of surprising at this track. So, yeah, I just went on to push a little bit more, and it definitely helped at the end to keep up with those guys at the end, especially in the short run. But yeah, I was hoping I could get some more out of it, but that's all I got. Those guys in front of me, they got definitely figured out more than I do. So I'm glad to bring home a 3rd place finish for the team.
Still your first podium of this 4Wide Racing TJ's team season now as we head into Las Vegas. And I've seen you perform before at Las Vegas. I remember the Work Dynamo Designs National Series where you were one of the faster cars there. What's your excitement level for Las Vegas next Wednesday and your expectations going into that one?
Yeah, I've had some pretty good races at Las Vegas for pretty much a lot of leagues, really. I mean, even the FIRS league, that was a pretty good race. It was one of my first races, but yeah, probably one of my best tracks. I'm really excited for that one to see how that goes. I think it's gonna be all about who gets that clean air. Recently, I've done some races there in some other leagues. It's clean air was pretty important. So I think it's gonna be like a train, pretty much, kind of, and we're all gonna be fighting hard for our positions. So yeah, just gonna try my best to get up front pretty quickly, so I can get that clean air. But yeah, looking forward to it.
It'll be a lot of fun at Las Vegas 1 week from tonight. But Ethan, on this third place finish, before we let you go, anybody in specific you want to thank for tonight's run?
I think the owners in BBR for giving me a chance, giving me an opportunity in this team. Also my teammates helping me out in practice a lot. We get a lot of good info for the races in the practice, so and help make each other better during those practices. But yeah.
We appreciate the time, as always, Ethan. And on behalf of our broadcast team, congratulations on the third place finish here from Phoenix Raceway. We'll see you at Las Vegas next Wednesday night.
Thank you.
That is Ethan Fonseca Moreno, driver of the 43, getting his first top 3 finish of the season. And as we wrap up the broadcast here tonight, Francisco, we'll look at the schedule. What's to come here for Season 6 of this 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. And the first thing that comes to mind is the next race, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Under the Lights in Nevada. That'll be a lot of fun. Our first 1.5-mile race of the season. What are your expectations for that one?
It's going to be wild. Las Vegas has hosted some night races. It's hosted some day races, but the night ones always seem to have the sparks flying. And with the next gens, it certainly was wild with the way those bumps in 1 and 2 treated the cars. But with this car, it's going to be very interesting. I did some laps there, Kenneth. That high side could be a tool for guys to use, especially in 1 and 2. So I can't wait to see once we get down there to see what the actual racing produces. But I think the big one circled for everybody is the one after Las Vegas, and that's Talladega for the first super speedway race of the season.
There are a lot of tests in Season 6, most notably in the first 10 or so races of the schedule, where you've got a 2.5-mile triangle, a 2.66-mile super speedway, another 1.5-miler that treats itself very differently to a lot of the others. You've got Bristol and Daytona to wrap up the first 10. So safe to say this stint will have a lot of action in it. TJ Burst becomes the 3rd different winner in the first 3 races of the season, and it's been a lot of fun watching them go at it. We'll go live from Las Vegas 1 week from tonight, next Wednesday at around 9 p.m. Eastern. You can catch the coverage right here on the KBueno Racing Network YouTube channel. Until then, that'll do it for us from Phoenix. So for Tyler Murray and everyone from the admin team and race council at 4Wide, and for all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Charlie Byer, for Keelan Belsha, and for us on the broadcast this evening, my colleague in the booth, Francisco Bacallao, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Saying so long from Avondale, Arizona, a congratulations to TJ Burst on his 7th career 4Wide Racing win.